Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me.
Adam, what's your point? The future looks bright.
My handshake is better than anything I ever saw. It's right here.
You are a one-of-one?
My son's right about
I don't think I've ever said this before.
All right, we are back here, another podcast. We got a few things to talk about. The president was called Daddy by one of the leaders in NATO. Can you imagine that? They call him Daddy.
Respect.
And a lady who's asking a question says, do you feel like you're their daddy? Like you're their dad? And it's so funny, the moment, that even Marco Rubio can't control himself. But then there was a very unique moment between him and a Ukrainian reporter whose husband is in war, asking him a question, and she starts getting emotional. Did you see this clip?
I did not see this
It
one.
is so powerful. I cannot wait to share this thing with you guys. New York mayor for Democratic side, the winner is out. Mamdani beat out Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo conceded. And one of the most recognizable realtors in all of America, Ryan Serhant, came out and told everybody what type of calls he's getting of people that own a lot of real estate and what they want to do next. This is already creating a element of a domino effect where people are thinking about what they're going to be doing next. Eric Adams comes out and calls out Mamdani publicly. If this guy really wants to do something, he's been able to do it for a long time. Then there's a Republican candidate, Chris Willa, I believe, who's been around for a while. He always wears a red beret. There's just a lot of stuff going on in New York, and it's going to be interesting if New York's going to turn into the next Dearborn, the next Detroit, the next London. Who knows what it's going to turn into? But we will definitely be talking about that as well. Pete Hegseth this morning got up and addressed the claims that the bombs they dropped didn't necessarily do anything to the nuclear facilities that New York Times and CNN has been claiming nothing happened to it. They're fine. Khamenei came out for the first time this morning, said a few words, and he called out the U.S. in a very direct way. I'll share that article with you, Rob, on what he said, Khamenei, this morning with, the fact that, they tried, nothing happens, we're stronger than ever before. And it's almost like instigating. It's not a position of trying to calm things down. It's like coming out and saying, you didn't do nothing. Publicly trying to humiliate the president. It's what it sounds like. But who knows how they're going to be handling this. But we'll talk about that as well. Trump says, I don't want the Iran regime change. It creates so much chaos. He's not interested in that. Couple other stories here that we have. Massey and the president go back and forth about the big, beautiful bill. We'll react to that as well. Austin Metcalf, suspected killer, indicted on first-degree murder charge in track meet stabbing. U.S. liability insurance on verge of breakdown from tide of claims. Guys, can you imagine U.S. All these insurers who protect you when something happens to you? Imagine if all of them all of a sudden said, we're out. We don't want to get into this business anymore. What would people be doing? Think about that for a second. What would that do to property valuation? What would that do to a lot of different things? Would you buy a property and pay premium for it if you know you're not protected? If a tornado, hurricane, something causes some chaos into that place, would you still want to buy that property? These insurers are declaring, they're letting the public know, hey, here's a problem we're facing. How do you want to help us out? Next one, this is devastating to a lot of people, so I just want to kind of brace for impact when I share this article with you guys. It says your brain physically changes when you work too much. Scientists warn. It's a warning. You've been warned. Don't work too hard, folks. Just relax, enjoy yourself. Don't work too hard. Try to collect claims, maybe, go on some kind of entitlement programs and enjoy. Let other people work hard. And you take, what is all these different kind of programs, right?
I think it's smart.
That's a wiser thing to do, according to the scientists. Maybe it's even a completely different position. Teachers union head gleefully declares that her union owns American children. Let me say that one more time. Teachers union head gleefully declares that her union owns your kids. I change it. Owns American children. Owns our kids. Owns your kids. Isn't that kind? Don't you love the fact that a head of a union is happy about the fact that they own your kids? How does that make you feel? We're going to go into that a little bit more.
She's not wrong.
Ex-Biden aide Neera Tanden tells Oversight Committee she was authorized to use the Autopen. What? Authorized to use the Autopen. Vinny brought a pen in here to show how this stuff works. And, he's going to try to do my signature
It's not easy. I've been
it's
up
not
all
easy.
night.
It's like a doctor's signature, but it is what it is. Tom Homan warns Iranian sleeper cells could be hiding in U.S. as a result of Biden's border crisis. But at the same time, he tells Pod Force One he's living apart from his wife over death threats. Can you imagine how many jobs you can have in America? And this job that you have is so bad that you can't sleep next to your wife. You have to worry about your death threats that you're getting left and right.
He's trying to protect his family.
Of course he is. I totally get it. Rogan and Liver King. Liver King apparently went to Austin, made some inspirational videos. How would you describe those videos? Very gentle, kind, loving,
very sweet.
normal.
Nothing out of the ordinary. No scratches and scars
I've spent
on his
time with him on the podcast. We had a conversation with him the moment the scandal came out, and and Joe responded, about the fact that he's been trying to get on the podcast. Rob, if you don't have that clip of Joe responding, if you could find it to go to it, it's not hard to find. It's everywhere. Candace Owens torches Trump. I feel embarrassed that I told people to go vote for him. This is from a Mediaite story. I think this is from Piers Morgan, if I'm not mistaken. We'll go to that as well. Joy Reid suggests Iran having nuclear weapon, ready for this, folks, might make Middle East calmer. Okay? So it's actually not a bad thing if Iran has nuclear weapons, but it doesn't stop there. CNN host says the following. The anchor says Iranians chanting death to America are friendly. They're very friendly. Can you imagine? We want to kill you. What a friendly group of people here. This is amazing how nice they are. Wall Street panics over prospects of socialists running New York City. Trump calls Mamdani a communist lunatic. Rubio cracks up. We'll talk about that. Eric Adams, we'll talk about that. Trump calls Fed Chair Powell an average mentally person and says he's working on replacement. And stunning turnaround. The stock market is on the verge of an all-time record. CNN data guru embarrasses Tucker Carlson with an Iran poll. Okay, Adam's got some thoughts on that one. And then NATO chief, we talked about the daddy situation of being called daddy. All right, folks, if you're watching this, one of the things that is very important in a time like this, while all the chaos are happening, if you're running a small business or you're an executive or somebody that's a startup, you're trying to raise money, you're trying to sell your business, you're trying to make proper strategic partnerships, maybe, take your comp plan to a different level, variable comp to a different level. You want to find a better way to expand your business model, expand your podcast. We had a guy that came to us, a doctor, at 288 subscribers on his podcast. Within 90 days, I think he's at 160,000 subscribers right now. We spent an entire day with him at our consulting firm. The one thing most people don't know about is the fact that we engage with about 10,000 people worldwide in 60-plus countries at Bet David Consulting. If you're a small business owner, we have this 5x5 program that we go through, 5 challenges you face at 5 different phases of your business. We've been talking about this now for 3 years. If you want to get this 5x5 brochure that we have, go to betdavid.com, betdavid.com, my last name, betdavid.com. All the way at the bottom, if you want to engage with one of our consultants, whether it's myself, Tom, or someone else, or find out about our events, go to betdavid.com, fill out the information all the way at the bottom, put your phone number in, put your email in. One of our guys will get a hold of you. We'll talk to you about what we have to offer here and share with you the PDF of the 5 challenges every founder faces at 5 different phases of their business. So again, go to betdavid.com. This is all free. There's an 18-minute video that breaks down the challenges as well for you to watch, specific to those of you that are running businesses, executives that want to take your business to the next level, and find strategies to excel during these chaotic times. Don't do it alone. If there's anything I would tell you is don't do it alone during these seasons. Having said that, let's get right into it. New York City Mayor on the Democratic primary, Mamdani beats Andrew Cuomo. This is not something people expected. He's a 33-year-old former rapper who said a lot of weird things. He says he's going to make childcare free for everybody, buses free for everybody. There's a lot of things that's going to be given free. He's a communist. Some call him a socialist, Muslim. There's certain things that he has. They're calling New York that could be possibly the next London. New York could turn into the next Dearborn, could turn into the next Detroit. There's a lot of concerns there. It is so bad with what they're talking about with New York that even Ryan Serhant, who is the big real estate influencer, this is the type of guy that puts up properties for sale in New York for $200+ million. That's who he represents. That's who those clients want to do business with. And here's what he had to say. Luxury real estate broker says wealthy New Yorkers are already looking to flee after Zohran Mamdani's primary win. Rob, if you can go to the next page on that Instagram post. Within minutes of Zohran Mamdani clinching the Democratic nomination Tuesday night, real estate agents like Ryan Serhant were flooded with calls from clients looking to walk away from deals to buy apartments in New York City. So imagine I made an offer on a property that I'm buying 5, 10, 15, 20, $30 million. I'm like, I'm out. We're in the middle of it. Imagine a realtor's about to make $200,000 in commission, $50,000 in commission, $400,000 in commission. We're out. We're not doing this. This is not a good investment if this takes place. If you want to go to the next slide, Rob, if you could on that Instagram post. My number one job, he says, will be moving people from New York to Florida. Again, based on the results, clients are going to hold off on making any kind of investment in New York City. By the way, he does not benefit from saying this. You guys understand, like his business is New York business. He doesn't benefit from saying something like this. He wants people to stay in New York to do well, but at the same time, it benefits him as well if people leave because they're buying and selling. Rob, if you want to go to the last slide, if there is one. Okay, so this is from Ryan Serhant. Now, why are so many business owners, entrepreneurs concerned about what's going on here with Mamdani? Rob, can you put up the video clip about Mamdani winning and what happened there with the primaries? This is Eric Adams, okay, Mayor Eric Adams, who says, you know, all the claims that Mamdani is making of what he's going to do to New York, he can do today if he really wanted to. Rob, go ahead and play this clip.
Mayor, it's not just defund the police, this candidate, Democratic Socialist. He wants to freeze the rent. He wants city-run grocery stores, social workers to replace the police because that's going to help. He wants $60 billion of debt fund for affordable housing. He wants free buses, no cost for childcare, baby baskets for newborn, and a $30 minimum wage. How can someone vote for this?
He's a snake oil salesman. Mm-hmm. He will say and do anything to get elected. Think about this for a moment. He wants to raise 1%. He wants to raise tax on 1% of New Yorkers' high-income earners. As the mayor, you don't have the authority to do that. You know who has the authority to do that? An assemblyman, which he is. He wants to do free buses. He could have done it at assemblyman.
There you go.
He doesn't understand the power of government and how you must making sure you improve your economy, raise the standard of living, and this is what we've done in the city. And I'm looking forward to being on the campaign trail and showing New Yorkers we can't go backwards.
Now, here's what's interesting. Vinny, you're somebody that lived in New York for quite some time. Mamdani's running as a Democrat.
Yes.
Eric Adams is running as an independent. Chris Awila is running as a Republican. When you see this happening in New York, one, how do you feel about Mamdani? Do you think his chances are high that he could possibly win, or do you think Mayor Adams is going to come back and win?
Well, first of all, on Tuesday we were talking about it, and we were like, yeah, he's winning. Cuomo has no point, but just to add a couple of more things that he's previously called for: abolishing NYPD, abolishing prisons, abolishing medical bills, abolishing private health care insurance, banning all guns. I want you guys. Even though New York is pretty strict, legalizing sex work, safe injection sites. Because that works in San Francisco, right, Tom?
Perfect. Yeah, nothing could.
Yeah, like an ATM for crack.
Wrong.
Yeah, an ATM machine for crack. Ending cash bail, decriminalizing drug possession, ending sentencing enhancements, and ending all cooperation with ICE. So, meaning the sanctuary city thing, they want nothing with ICE to have to do with it. I personally, Pat, I'm not a fan of it, and just the pool of leadership from New York. I know I mentioned on Tuesday, but. What the hell is going on? Number one. Number two, all the people that are fleeing, is that do you just give up and do you bounce? Why don't those people, Pat, who have money, donate and help and try to fund and support the opposition? Because we talked about and we warned people, look at what's happening in England. Look what's happening in France. Every single thing on my feed about Europe is negative. And it's the migrants that are in there that are causing freaking ruckus, punching people in the face, robbing people, stabbing people, beating the shit out of kids. Sorry for my language. But, and I want to say something, Pat. And I think it was Mayor Suarez said something along the lines of finding a loophole or something where if you're a communist and you're seriously supporting communists, you can't run for public office. Rob, I think Suarez said this, but this is me. This is Vincent Oshana's take. And this goes all the way to the top, which includes him and this type of office, Pat. This country was built on Christian values. Am I right, Tom?
Absolutely.
The Constitution was not written in a vacuum. The founders believe our rights came from God.
Endowed by our creator.
Thank you, and not the government. So that's what makes America great, and that's what makes us different. You take God out, and you have tyranny. And look at communists. Name me a time that communism worked, Tom. Can anybody do it? Communism and this Marxist crap idea. And this is me. I think, Tom, that we need to, I don't know how it would happen, but do something where even the president, Pat, only Christians, and I'm being real, can be the president of the United States. This is a Christian nation. Our freedoms came from the cross, not Karl Marx. Okay? Communism rejects God. And if we let this type of stuff
All
in,
gods, by the way.
If this, and am I being that guy where this is a nation founded on Christian values?
No, you're right. But listen, the beautiful thing about people like this is contradictions eventually get exposed. Watch this one here. He says, this virus is laying bare the severe shortcomings of capitalism. And look at the next tweet. It's the final day to our very first merge. Wait a minute. You went from hating capitalism to becoming a capitalist, 0 to 60 to capitalist in a couple seconds. What happened there? You get exposed. You get exposed on the ideology and philosophies people like this have. Adam, what are your thoughts on this with what's happening in New York City with Mamdani winning?
Well, congratulations, New York City. I just want to give you a round of applause. Elections have consequences, and this is who you voted.
I can't hear him.
We lost Adam.
Adam dropped out.
No? Audio?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, go for it, Adam.
Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what you heard, but
Go back when
I'll
you
just
said New York
restate-
City. Congratulations.
yeah,
New York
well,
City.
congratulations, New York City. Proud of you, happy for you. This is what you wanted. You got it. This is something that we'll see if it sticks to Mamdani when it comes to November. This is only the primary.
That's right.
If we know anything, this is only the primary.
Do you think he'll win?
There's going to
Adam,
be
do you think he'll
5
win?
more months.
Do you think he'll
What's
win?
that? So I do think he'll win. And I'll tell you why. This is not a... People are looking at him as he's the problem. He's not the problem. He's a symptom of a bigger problem. One thing we know for sure is New York is done with the Cuomos. No offense. I think Chris Cuomo is doing a great job right now on News Nation. I think Andrew Cuomo, it's time to retire. There's 3 reasons that Zohran won, and we should pay attention to the reasons why. Number 1, he was the exact opposite of what Cuomo was. He was authentic, he was bold, and he wasn't scared. Cuomo, as funny as it is, he's not establishment, but he's at least viewed as anti-establishment, or a part of the establishment. So number 2, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. He is a progressive Islamist. He co-founded, I believe, the Palestinian Students for Justice. He's a communist. He's an Islamist. Respect. That's who he is. Believe him. He started a grassroots, youthful, diverse movement in New York City, and this is who the modern Democratic Party is. This is why I left the Democratic Party. I'm from Miami. You don't see anything like this in Miami. You see someone like this, like Mayor Suarez in Miami. There's 0% chance in Miami where Cubans came to flee communism and socialism. We'd never elect anybody like this. So this is why you see all the memes about people basically moving to Miami. What's the biggest reason that they're moving to Miami? It's not the Christianity, it's not the Islamism, it's not the Judaism, it's not religion. Follow the money. Affordability crisis in New York is the number 1 in the country as far as what you're paying, as far as percentage of your income towards housing. That's why he's using all the typical tricks that a socialist and a communist uses. Lowering the cost of rent freezes, free buses, free transportation, free childcare, $30 minimum wage, free groceries, basically. Where have I heard this before? We'll see if Eric Adams can mount something, but unless he becomes authentic and learns how to get with the youth, Mamdani might be the newest mayor of New York City.
All right, so
what a
here's
far
what he had
cry
to say. Here's
from
what he
Michael
had to say
Bloomberg.
on the victory speech. Go ahead, Rob.
One, because New Yorkers have stood up for a city they can afford. A city where they can do more than just struggle. And it's where the mayor will use their power to reject Donald Trump's fascism, to stop mass ICE agents
What is
from
that one
deporting
scene in the
our
movie where it
neighbors.
says, I don't know why I'm screaming.
Yeah.
Anchorman? Is that what it is? Do keep playing it, Rob? I'm just trying to, like, he says he's fighting Trump's fascism, right?
Yep.
Fascism.
Yeah,
To
Trump's
stop
fascism.
masked ICE agents from deporting our
Okay,
neighbors.
so this is what Tom Homan had to say about this, because you know how he went up and screaming about the fact that, hey, you can't, this is not fair what you're doing to immigrants. This is Tom Homan's response. Go for it.
Mayor candidate. He hasn't won yet, but he won the Democratic primary, Zohran Mamdani. So he's saying, I mean, this is incredible. He's vowed to kick the, quote, fascist ICE out of New York City, okay? So how do you intend to deal with that? Because I would guess there are going to be a lot of criminals and Iranian cells and whatnot in New York City. The job's not done there. What do you say to this guy?
Good luck with that. Federal law trumps him every day, every hour of every minute. We're going to be in New York City. Matter of fact, because it's a sanctuary city, President Trump made it clear a week and a half ago. We're going to double down and triple down on sanctuary cities. If we can't arrest a bad guy in a county jail, one agent arresting one bad guy, they release him in the streets like New York does every day. We got to send a whole team to look for this guy. And not only that, we're going to send additional teams to look for all the people they arrest. We're going to concentrate in sanctuary cities because we know they're releasing public safety threats and national security threats back to the street. So we know we got a problem there. So we don't have that problem in Florida where most sheriffs work for us. So we're going to just double up and triple up on New York. And not only are we going to send more agents to the neighborhood, we're going to increase worksite enforcement tenfold. If we can't arrest them in the jail, you're going to force them in the neighborhood, then we'll find them in the neighborhood.
Right there.
If we can't.
So, by the way, New Yorkers who are possibly thinking about staying, they're staying because of guys like this. They're relying on the federal government to do their part. Rob, can you do me a favor? Go to ChatGPT and time in how many Muslim mayors have we had in America? How many Muslim mayors? I believe the number is 6 when I looked at it yesterday, but it could be 3 and 3. It'll break it down for you. How many Muslim mayors have we had in America? Zoom in a little bit. How many Muslim mayors have we had in America? Breakdown. Okay, so that one is what? Mayor of Cambridge, Massachusetts. Okay, 4 years. Shadaf Jaffer in Montgomery Township. Okay. Dika's, where's that? Portland. Is that Portland, Maryland? No, that's where? M.E. Mayor of
Portland, Maine.
Portland, Maine. And then Nadia Mohammed is St. Louis Park, Minnesota. It's a lot of Minnesota. Amir Omar, Richardson, Texas. Interesting. First Muslim mayor
5
in that region. And then 6, Mamdani, if he wins, right?
So 5.
So 5 so far. And of which, of the 5, 3 are from Minnesota. If this goes the way it does, Tom, say he wins. Is it really that bad of a thing? Is it really going to get that nasty? Is it really an overreaction? Oh, my God, everyone's going to move to Florida. People are going to leave. It's going to be this. Is it really that bad of a thing in New York, or is it just an overreaction?
I don't think it's an overreaction. We just saw one of the largest, most influential realtors in New York saying, I'm getting phone calls now to stop a deal. And a deal in New York City is $1 million, $2 million deal on the low end for, condos and nice apartments and things like that. And now you're talking about this. I look at it this way. There is a great contradiction that happened in New York City. They had a large rally, one of the larger rallies. No authoritarianism, no kings. But if you listen to this guy and you listen to everything, you take the guns away from the citizens. And by the way, there was a shooting at a church, one person tragically killed, but then a highly trained, licensed citizen security guard takes out the threat. Not a multi-person shooting, one person, God rest their soul, and the shooter neutralized. But now you're going to take guns away from the citizens, you're going to defund the police, and you're going to do all the rest of these things, make it free. And when that devolves, that will devolve very, very quickly. And when it devolves, guess what? The people can't rise up because the people are not armed just to protect their homes. And you know what you get? You get an authoritarian Muslim that's the mayor of your city. This is not an overreaction. There are very real things that are happening right now. It's a populist thing. If he tries to get the $30 minimum wage through, Eric Adams was on a morning show on Fox talking about things. Hey, he needs the assemblyman to help him. And he is an assemblyman. And so why couldn't he get all this done now? So as mayor of New York, this is not an overreaction. This is the tip of an iceberg. This could head toward Dearborn very, very, very quickly. And I just ask New Yorkers, those of you that voted for him, look down the list of things and ask yourself very honestly, where do you think the outcome is at? What do you think the end is at? Does the mayor become a Muslim authoritarian figure? I think so. But you just marched in the streets over the past weekend and said no authoritarianism. Which is it?
By the way, you know what's interesting about this, Tom? I posted something on Twitter and I said, New York may have gotten more conservative in the 2024 election, but the Democratic Party moved further left.
I think you're 100% correct.
They moved further left. So as left as they were, they didn't decide to come to the center. Let's go a little bit more to the center. They're like, no, let's go a little bit more to the left. Let's go turn this thing into Detroit. Let's go turn this thing into Dearborn. And you know what's the crazy thing about businessmen that live in your community? Who are the first people that are hated? Those who make money, those who are successful. In every space, those are the people that always get hated the most. In the family, who is the most hated person? Probably the guy with the most money or the gal with the most money. It's always the same thing. People can't stand success because they're envious of it until eventually, what happens? Those people say, you know what? You don't appreciate us? No problem. We'll leave to a different place. Ken Griffin, I was at an event in St. Regis with a bunch of wealthy people that are billionaires, and the entire 8-hour meeting, 40% of the meeting, everyone brought up Ken Griffin. Ken Griffin left Chicago. Ken Griffin left Chicago. Ken Griffin left Chicago. Ken Griffin. We're going to miss Ken Griffin, but you know we're going to recover from Ken Griffin. It's like the entire meeting was about Ken Griffin. Okay, so now all these people that you guys hate in New York that are the business owners, the builders, the billionaires, you don't think they have 100 other places to go to? It's as if every person that voted for Mamdani in New York needs to go out there and buy the book Atlas Shrugged and just read it. Go read the book and read the history of what happens when you push these types of guys out. There's plenty of places for them to go to. But again, we'll see what happened by November between now and then. Maybe Eric Adams is going to come out. And since they're both kind of Democratic Party, but he went to the independent side, who knows if an independent can win in New York? We'll find out. Let's go to the next story. Iran, Israel, did the nuclear facilities really get hit? Did they not get hit? You hear stories about the fact that those places didn't get hit. There's CNN anchor saying certain things. There's Joy Reid saying certain things here. Joy Reid, I'll start off with that one first. Rob, can you tell me what page Joy Reid is? Joy Reid is, you have to hear this one, folks.
Page 16?
Page 16. Okay. Joy Reid, let's start the clip from here, by the way. Joy Reid suggests Iran having nuclear weapon might make Middle East calmer. Can you imagine that? Iran having nuclear weapon might make the Middle East calmer. By the way, there are people that agree with her. Go ahead, Rob. Play the clip.
What do you think we'll see first, World War III or nuclear war? I don't think we'll ever see nuclear war in our lifetime, but I do think we'll see a World War III.
And the reason you won't see nuclear war in our lifetime is that everyone who would deem to threaten global annihilation has nukes.
Mutually assured destruction.
And I think what would, in a weird way, make the Middle East, you know how they say the most polite society in the country is Texas? Because everybody's packing?
Everybody got guns. That's right.
You know, maybe the Middle East would be calmer if there weren't just, what I spoke yesterday to a Navy veteran who used to fly those bombers that they used to drop the bunker, but the 3,000-pound bombs. And he was telling me, he said, don't get it twisted. This war is not about a real threat that Iran posed to anyone. They don't have nukes, and they didn't have nukes, and they weren't making nukes. This is about a geopolitical push, the same way it was when we went after Mossadegh. To make it, we would rather an Iran with a dictator who's a puppet than a free Iran who could defy us and take the oil we feel entitled to. In this case, Israel wants to be the hegemon of the region. They want to be the United States, the big boy in the bloc, and have no competitors. And their biggest two potential competitors are Saudi Arabia and Iran. And so the idea here is to make them the unquestioned superpower.
So she thinks it'll be safer if Iran has a nuclear weapon. Now, this whole story that you're hearing about was prompted after reporters came out from CNN, I believe New York Times, that said U.S. strikes did not destroy Iran's nuclear program. White House rages after top secret doc is leaked as Israel and Iran claim victory. Rob, if you have this clip, go for it. Play this clip here.
And the American public have ever seen. And that CNN story does not change the facts. There was a total and complete obliteration of Iran's nuclear facilities. And because of the president's strike, Because of the precision of our United States military and this perfectly executed mission, Iran no longer has the capability to produce a nuclear weapon as imminently as they did prior to the strike. The American people and the world should be grateful for that, and it's disgusting that CNN and the New York Times are disparaging not just the president, but our brave men and women who helped conduct this highly successful operation.
What kind of consequence could the leaker face?
Walks up. Okay. Pete Hegseth then responds this morning. He does a press conference to address it and break down the fact that these facilities were hit, and here's what he had to say. Go for it, Rob.
Fake news, CNN, MSNBC, or the New York Times, there's been fawning coverage of a preliminary assessment. I've had a chance to read it. Every outlet has breathlessly reported on a preliminary assessment from DIA. I'm looking at it right now. Again, it was preliminary, a day and a half after the actual strike, when it admits itself in writing that it requires weeks to accumulate the necessary data to make such an assessment. It's preliminary. It points out that it's not been coordinated with the intelligence community at all. There's low confidence in this particular report. It says in the report there are gaps in the information. It says in the report multiple linchpin assumptions are what this assessment, a linchpin assumption, you know what that is? That means your entire premise is predicated on a linchpin. If you're wrong, everything else is wrong. And yet, still, this report acknowledges it's likely severe damage. Again, this is preliminary, but leaked because someone had an agenda to try to muddy the waters and make it look like this historic strike wasn't successful. I'm going to get to the chairman in a moment because he's going to lay out the particulars for you based on his professional military experience. But here's what other folks are saying. The DIA that put that report out says this is a preliminary low-confidence report and will continue to be refined as additional intelligence becomes available. How about the Israeli Atomic Energy Commission? The devastating U.S. strikes on Fordow destroyed the site's critical infrastructure and rendered the enrichment facility inoperable. Have any of these quotes made their way into the New York Times or the Washington Post?
Nope.
MSNBC? CNN? Any of these quotes? How about this one? This is a new one from the UN, the United Nations. No friend of the United States, or certainly Israel often. Here's the head of the UN Atomic Energy Agency this morning, Rafael Grossi. U.S. and Israeli strikes caused enormous damage to Iran's nuclear sites. Don't take my word for it. How about the IDF's chief of staff? I can say here that the assessment is that we significantly damaged the nuclear program, setting it back by years. I repeat, years. The Iranian foreign minister, the spokesman, our nuclear installations have been badly damaged, that's for sure. I'm sure that's an understatement. John Radcliffe, the director of the CIA, putting out a statement just last night. CIA can confirm that a body of credible intelligence indicates Iran's nuclear program has been severely damaged by recent targeted strikes. This includes new intelligence from a historically reliable, very different than preliminary assessment.
You can pause it right there. Okay, Tom, he's given his argument to say that we did destroy the facilities. It's going to take them years to recover. Iran, I'm going to show an article from this morning. This is what President Trump had to say. Fake news CNN, together with the failing New York Times, have teamed up in an attempt to demean one of the most successful military strikes in history. The nuclear sites in Iran are completely destroyed. Both the Times and the CNN are getting slammed by the public. What do you think really happened? Do we really know whether massive damage was done or not?
I think first of all, Hegseth wasn't giving his opinion. He was reading the opinion of multiple global leaders whose business is to be in the know and to make these statements and these observations, number one.
Yep.
And number two, you've got certainty coming from, the IDF. Okay, you could say the IDF is biased. Sure, it's be their business to spin it one way. But when Iran's foreign minister and others are talking about this, it seems to indicate that there was damage done, but everybody also agrees that it's going to take weeks of damage assessment to see. We have satellite photos. We're going to watch trucks. We're going to see what's going on there to see what is happening on the ground and the true ground response. All it takes is the satellite images, and you watch. Do supplies come and go? Do the workers come in and go out the way they were? How many of them? There's going to be all sorts of assessments. So it is correct that it is early to make the assessment, and it's also correct that Hexas didn't go up there and just do some fawning denial. He called out the media for grabbing one little part of it, running with it because they want to make the president look bad. And then he starts quoting people around the world. That made me feel pretty reasonable about this. So if we got half the job done or we got a quarter of the job done, you know what still is true?
What's that?
We flew planes into their airspace. They couldn't do shit about it, and we flew home
But was
unharmed.
that the outcome, though? Was a mission accomplished? That's the question. That's what a lot of people are asking about, because this is what Khamenei had to say this morning.
I don't think we know.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people on the world stage that are saying that
I totally get it.
There's more chance that it
I got
did
you, Tom.
than
This is
didn't.
what Khamenei is saying this morning. Iranian Supreme Leader crawls out of bunker to ludicrously claim victory over Israel. Tehran's delivered a hand slap to America's face. Go a little bit lower if you could, Rob. Okay, Iran's humiliated Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei came out of hiding Thursday to ludicrously claim victory over Israel, having delivered a hand slap to America's face during the first address since the total obliteration of his nuclear weapon facilities. Khamenei said he was victorious in the 12-day war, despite losing years of progress on his nuclear programs, including more of a dozen of his leading scientists being killed and obliteration of 3 nuclear enrichment sites. The Islamic Republic was victorious and in retaliation delivered a hand slap to America's face. Khamenei said Thursday, go a little bit lower, Rob. And the head of the Islamic regime has been hiding since Israel launched Operation Rising Lion on June 13, fearing an assassination attempt by the Jewish state. Israel had launched hundreds of missiles around Tehran, along with covert operation that destroyed a ground-to-air and ground-to-ground defense system. And Khamenei addresses comes 5 days after Trump ordered the 7 B-2 bombers to drop bunker busters bombs on the underground Fordo nuclear sites as nuclear-capable submarines launch cruise missiles at 2 other sites, Natanz and Esfahan. U.S. hit nuclear sites but could not achieve much. Khamenei said in televised speech before calling out Trump, U.S. President Trump needed to do showmanship. Okay, so now he's poking. Go a little bit lower. Needed to do a little bit of showmanship. Go a little bit lower. With all that commotion and all those claims, the Zionist regime was practically knocked out and crushed under the blows of the Islamic Republic. The isolated Iran leader statements are the first since ceasefire was agreed upon by his nation and Israel. Adam, your thoughts on this?
So there's a lot to unpack here. So let me just go one by one, and I'll go very quickly. At the cornerstone of everything that's going on, whether it's Joy Reid, whether it's what's happening in New York, whether it's even the Ayatollah, everything is doing an exact opposite of what Trump stands for. So if you're trying to understand the mindset of the Democrat these days, or the socialists, or the progressives, all you have to do is understand Newton's theory, which is for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Oh, so Trump is pro-Israel? Now all of a sudden we're pro-Iran. We're pro-Palestinian. Trump is America first? Well, we're America last. Trump has closed the borders? Let's open the borders. Let's have a globalist mindset. Let's globalize the Intifada. Trump is using ICE? We hate ICE. That's all it is. Show me a position Trump stands for. That's exactly what the Democrats or the globalists are using as their platform to go against the Trump. Trump could cure cancer, and they would be cheering, why did he eliminate cancer?
He cost 17,000 jobs. Yeah, exactly.
What's that?
Yeah. No, if he cured cancer, they would say Trump caused the loss of 17,000 jobs. They would find a way to take the 20% position on it.
That's all it is. So if you understand that whatever Trump stands for, they're going to take the opposite position. That at least gives you a little insight to their mindset. Number 2, this is where this moron, Joy Reid, who still somehow gets an opportunity to talk, what she doesn't understand. I say this all the time. The Middle East is not the Midwest. She thinks in her peanut-sized brain with her blonde wig that she understands jihadist mentality. You don't. The Middle East is not the Midwest. You're basically living your life based on the premise that they have the exact same values and principles that we have in the West. They don't. They have jihadist tendencies and jihadist ideology. This is a clash of civilization and a clash of culture. Understand that. So when Trump is pro-Israel, of course, Joy Reid takes the pro-Iran position. And naturally, she starts deducing, well, yeah, maybe it'd be great if they had nuclear weapons. Really? Because that worked out really well in North Korea versus South Korea, right? Take a look at those images at night. So she's basically operating on the premise that they have the same mindset as us. No. Israel loves life. United States loves life. Jihadists worship death. In Judaism, if we're going to give cheers, like in Italian, what do you say if you're going to have a cheers? You're going to say, hey, what do you say? Salud. In Judaism, you say this. You say l'chaim, to life. Jihadists worship death. That's what you don't understand. The cornerstone of their mindset is martyrdom, jihad, paradise, 72 virgins, pay for slay, human shields. It's a completely different ideology. So now you're operating on the premise that you want to give them nukes. It makes zero sense. And Israel, who's basically our proxy in the region, will never stand for that.
Vinny.
Well, first, I want to say the bigger problem with the whole situation is that there's still people inside the Trump administration, which I know is going to be there, that are still trying to undermine the administration. Okay, the deep state is still real. You have people inside that the FBI right now is investigating. They're going to try to find out who's leaking this information, which is inaccurate, and it's jumping the gun, no pun intended, because when they're saying, there's weeks, they still have to find out 4 weeks what's happening. Yes, we have reports that there was satellite imagery of a bunch of trucks, Tommy, coming up, possibly taking out uranium, which one thing I'm going to criticize is like the heads up, Pat, the warning, the Trump, the tweeting, the everything. If you give an enemy such a heads up like that, they're going to take shit out of the ground. They're going to move out of there. And I did a little bit of research, Pat. The bomb that we used, the 30,000-pound bomb, how deep do you guys think it goes into the ground? How deep? How many feet?
90 meters. So whatever 90 meters is, if 2 meters is 6 feet, 270 feet.
Okay, so great. Average 200, and if it's 60 plus feet for reinforced concrete, the Fordo fuel enrichment plant was 250 to 300 feet deep. Okay, even if we're not hitting the actual site itself, everything else is destroyed. The odds of you even
but Iran's known for having strong concrete.
100%.
So opposition is saying the fact that because Iran has the best concrete, it's not going to make it all the way down to the facilities where they're having the uranium. And then you're hearing the stories about how they moved 400 kilos of uranium to a completely different facility, so nothing got hit. That's what some people are saying.
And that's why we have to give them a little bit of time, especially when it comes to the assessment of weeks to find out. And I get it. I know what people are going to say. Well, you can't trust the government with all the reports and everything like that. But I'm just saying, from that point of view, they disrupted it. If it was, as Bibi and all them said, they were weeks away from making a nuclear weapon, this has at least slowed them down, okay? The last thing you're going to have to do is send ground troops, hopefully not American, to go and find out now the site. Because now you can't just satellite to see what's happening down there. You have to send boots on the ground to see what's happening down there. At least out of this whole thing, there was the most minimal civilian casualties. If you want to count anybody that's down there, any nuclear people that are working on a nuke to freaking attack America. But I think it's going to take a couple of weeks to find out if it's actually real and if they moved anything from the site.
Yeah, and then, by the way, this leads to President Trump, who's being asked about regime change. And this is what he had to say about the fact that he doesn't want regime change. Watch this here.
Do you want to see regime change in Iran?
No. If there was, there was. But no, I don't want it. I'd like to see everything calm down as quickly as possible. Regime change takes chaos. And ideally, we don't want to see so much chaos. So we'll see how it does. The Iranians are very good traders, very good business people, and they got a lot of oil. They should be fine. They should be able to rebuild and do a good job. They're never going to have nuclear, but other than that, they should do a great job.
Yeah, so the challenge then becomes, if you don't open up. Yesterday, I put a tweet out at 1:30 in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what time it was. I'm up there just going through a bunch of different things and, preparing for today. Today happens to be Tom's oldest daughter's birthday. Shout out to Bailey. Happy birthday, Bailey. It happens to be my youngest daughter's birthday, Brooke.
Brooklyn.
And it happens to be our anniversary today. My wife and I, 16 years. So happy birthday, Bailey. Happy birthday, Brooklyn. And
congratulations,
happy
Pat.
anniversary, Jennifer, babe.
Congrats, Jen.
So last night, 1 o'clock, I'm going through it, and you're talking about regime change and all the stuff that's taking place, right? And the president said what he said there about the fact that he doesn't want chaos. So who doesn't want chaos? He doesn't want chaos? He doesn't want regime change? Or the Iranian people don't want regime change? What did he say?
I think he doesn't want chaos.
He doesn't want.
Yeah.
Of course he doesn't want.
Of course.
But what do Iranians want? They want change.
They want change.
They don't want chaos. They want change. I put this up last night. because a guy said something about me. Can you go back there, Rob? I want to put the tweet right before the one that I put up. I just want to call this out. Because if the Iranian romanticizers, put that up there so I can read that. Patrick, with his political literacy, is at the level of Wikipedia. He has no national political agendas other than increasing his audience and securing sponsors. Sure. Therefore, when he passionately slams leadership capacity of Prince Reza Pahlavi, it is undoubtedly driven by business interests. Now, here's what this guy, and I don't blame him for, not knowing what he's talking about. My response to him was, I don't know who you are. I really don't want to open my mouth about who for decades used their last name to collect money from innocent Iranians. But if the pressure comes, I will gladly open my mouth. I will bring receipts soon if these lies continue about us doing it for money. Whether it's I'm taking 1 minute, I'm taking money from Israel. The next minute is I'm Mossad. The next minute is I'm Iranian. The next minute is I'm Nayak. The next minute is I'm pro-Reza Pahlavi monarchy coming back. The next minute we're taking money for sponsorship. And what's funny is we don't take money from any sponsorship. This is why we sell our stuff. We're proud capitalists. By the way, what is his name, Majid? Here's what we'd like to see happen. Your country right now only has $350 billion in GDP. We'd like to find a way to 7x that so Iranians can make some money because capitalism can solve a lot of problems in Iran. So I wrote this and I said, Iran deserves better leadership. There's so much untapped potential in Iran. Here are a few things to consider. A resource-rich nation with a starved economy. How does a country with ranked 5th in natural resources, population of 92 million, talented people only produce 400. That's less than Walmart, Amazon, and Aramco produce per year. And by the way, Apple is 390 billion. So Apple almost is bigger than Iran's GDP. So Iran, an entire country, produces less than a single corporation. How is it possible? The answer, big. The current regime is suffocating the nation's potential. With the right leadership, the economy can explode to $2 trillion in no time, unlocking unprecedented prosperity for its people. 2, geopolitical goldmine. Iran is one of the most strategically located nations on earth. Whether you're in China, Russia, Europe, Africa, or Middle East, you have to go through Iran. Now imagine if Iran were wide open for business. 3, a sleeping giant for global tourism. In the 70s, it was one of the global destinations, drawn nearly 1 million tourists per year, including celebrities, business elites, and world leaders. It offers stunning mountains, rich ancient history, world-class museums, incredible cuisine, music, culture, and yes, some of the most beautiful women in the world. Iranian women, man, they're beautiful. Iran has everything except for freedom. Iran doesn't need a monarchy or a theocracy. That's not popular for a lot of people that are fans of Reza Pahlavi, that they want him to bring back the monarchy. You don't need a theocracy. You don't need a monarchy. My opinion, you can trash this and tear it apart. This is my opinion. The concept that U.S. had the No Kings protest, they should do that in Iran, is more relevant to Iran than anywhere else. Iran needs to scrap its current structure and start fresh like a startup, bring together modern founding fathers to draft a new constitution based on liberty, equality, and democracy, hold real elections, guarantee freedom for everyone. Partnering with the West is the fastest way to rebuild. You can't chant death to America one day and negotiate with the U.S. next day. That's not diplomacy. That's delusion. If Iran builds bridges, not walls, business will flood in. A free Iran could be the key to peace in the Middle East. That's simple. Only question is who's going to rise up. So when I put that up there, you see this, and you'll see, oh my God, how dare you do this? I can't. The romanticizers of Pahlavi, and they don't want to. He's going to be like his father. He's not his father. He's a sweet man, nice man, smart man, wants to make his mom happy, wants to make his dad proud that is no longer here. But he's not going to get the job done as a person. And some, well, let him just get in, and then we'll figure all the rest out. No. A person that's an influencer is not going to sit there and say, oh, yeah, let's just do that. And let's get in, and then we'll get the job done. You know who said that? Nancy Pelosi said, well, we have to pass it so we see what's in the bill. That's what we got to do.
We'll find out what's in it afterwards.
No. So to me, while this is going on, a lot of Iranians are seeing, is someone going to close this out? By the way, if again, this is the closest you've been in 46 years. If again, this doesn't succeed, who are you blaming? Go ahead. This is the closest you've been in 46 years. If this doesn't happen again, whose fault is it? You're not going to put it on Pahlavi? Who are you going to put it on? Because that's your face. Go ahead. Put it on somebody. Who will you put it on? The Indiana Pacers lost. Who do you put it on? Well, injuries. Fair, Game 7. Halliburton brought it all the way to the top. Minnesota was supposed to go to the championship and become the Michael Jordan, right? What's his name? Anthony Edwards. What happened? Oh, it's not his fault? It's not his fault. Oh, he's a seasoned player. I got you. Let's not put the responsibility on anybody. This is the close. By the way, he had a video that he posted yesterday, Rob. If you can go to his X account, and again, sweet man, nice man, smart man, capable man of being someone that can help out with history. But this is what he posted yesterday. If you can go a little bit lower, there was a video right there. And watch this one here. Open it up. Let's watch this. Go ahead.
This is our Berlin Wall moment. But like all moments of great change, it comes fraught with danger. We stand at a crossroads. One road leads to bloodshed and chaos, the other to a peaceful and democratic transition. The difference in these two roads depends on one factor, and one factor alone, whether the current regime in Iran is allowed to survive.
Watch this.
If the West throws the regime a lifeline, there will be more bloodshed and chaos.
Okay. So he gives a message like that, which is to say this is the closest they've been. He needs U.S.'s help to get the job done. Great. But when you watch that, does that sound like somebody that is intimidating, that someone that's going to get the job done? No. It sounds like somebody that has the history, that can play a very good role. I had a call with somebody yesterday. You know what the entire conversation was about for an hour? The conversation was about, this is one of the guys I love to work with. And the deal he struggles with, this is why I have so much respect for Tom. What he struggles with is the following, Vinny. He wants to be a number one.
Okay.
But he really is a number 4.
Phew. But he has ambition to be the number 1.
No, he's not a number 1.
Does he want?
He does not.
Oh, okay.
Because the pressures of number 1, not everybody wants. It sucks. Because all the attacks come to you and all the pressure comes to you. Some people simply do better being 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And by the way, they shine more as a 2, 3, 4 than they do as a 1. Paul George said, I was never a number 1 to win a championship. My record says it. If I was a 1, I would have won a championship. I didn't win it. He didn't win as a 1. He needed to be a 2 or 3. This guy is a very good 2, 3, 4, but not as a 1. To get the job done, Iranians, you're going to keep coming at me and posting stuff, and eventually I'm going to really start saying stuff. And my challenge to all of you guys is right now, here's what I'm tempted to do, Vinny, Tom. And I haven't even told you guys this. I'm tempted to see about holding a leadership meeting for Iranians, some of the smartest, most influential Iranians, at our office, at the hangar. Private, no cameras, nothing. Everybody has to put their phones in. Security, we come in. Nobody has anything. We just sit there and we talk of what some of their ideas are. I think to identify who that person is going to, I'm at that point. I have too many things going on that the chance of me doing this is less than 5%. But that thought crossed my mind. Right now we got all these things we're doing, family, kids, businesses, all these other things. But it's at that point because if you're not going to hold a meeting to rally and unify everybody so we can get on the same page and identify where we're going, what the hell are we doing? And if you can't hold a meeting, it's because you don't carry that kind of weight anymore. If you call a meeting and you don't carry the weight of people coming, what happened there? Maybe you lost it. Maybe you're not the guy. Maybe you're not the person. So it's a very interesting season right now. So I get it for U.S. and Trump, what he's saying. But Iranians are fed up, and they want that $350 billion of GDP to turn into $2 trillion. That opens up opportunities, places you live, schools your kids go to. Anyways, we'll see what's going to happen with Iran. Adam, go ahead.
Yeah, I encourage PBD to have that meeting, and if you're going to do that meeting, it needs to happen immediately. Because there's something called carpe diem, and that's seize the day. Here's the biggest challenge that the Iranian people are going to face. Right now, this story is the number 1 story in the world. You know what's going to happen? In a week, in 2 weeks, it's going to be yesterday's news. And everyone's going to forget about the people of Iran. You bring up a great point here. Is this what Trump wants? Does Trump want to get out of this mess, this conundrum of the Middle East? You bet he does. He wants to set his sights on China, and that's what the America First agenda really wants to focus on, not Middle East quagmires. But what do the Iranian people want? The Iranian people want to be free. Now's the time. I'm telling you right now, if this doesn't happen in the next few weeks, this ain't happening. PBD is absolutely right. This is the closest the Iranian people have been to being free in 46 years. And my thoughts are, unless they take advantage and seize the day in carpe diem, they're never going to have freedom ever again. So who benefits from everything that just happened in Iran? Well, Israel definitely benefits because they've eliminated a nuclear holocaust. USA benefits because they've eliminated a potential threat that sows chaos all around the world. The world benefits. We don't need to have a nuclear Iran, despite what the moron Reid has to say. But you know who definitely doesn't benefit if this thing does not work out in their favor? The actual Iranian people, because you're starting to see stories that the Iranian regime is starting to take it out on the people who have been cheering and protesting against the regime. So this is a great case for the Second Amendment, by the way, because that doesn't exist in Iran. So I don't even know how they're going to rise up. PBD, last point, you bring up a great point. The GDP of Iran is set to soar. I don't know if we can have time to play a clip, but there's an American Iranian businessman who talks about the economic dynamism that could potentially take place in Iran if they basically take the stranglehold of the noose that is around their neck away from the Ayatollah. He talks about catching up to the UAE, Qatar, and in Saudi, not in 46 years, in basically 5 to 7 years. So the Iranian people want to be free. They're a great people, ingenuity, smart. They're just being held hostage by the Ayatollah.
Yeah,
and unless they take
Adam,
advantage
what's
of it.
interesting with what you're saying here.
Sure.
Here's what's interesting with what you're saying here. Guess who wants those sanctions to remain on Iran? Guess who wants Khamenei to keep saying death upon America? Guess who wants Khamenei to keep making fun of Trump? Guess who wants Iran and U.S.'s relationship to continue to be bad? Guess who wants that?
Qatar, Saudi, Venezuela,
Saudi,
everybody
right,
else
GCC.
that doesn't want another
That's
competitor
right.
in the oil
That's
market.
That's right. That's exactly who also benefits from it. So the what do you call it? The connect the dots game. Like if you go play American Gangster, where he's like, Russell Crowe sitting there saying, "Oh my God, it's Frank Lucas. That's really the person behind Blue Magic." If you connect the dots, there are a lot of people behind closed doors that want the sanctions to remain, that don't want it to open up because they're going to take some business away from them. They don't want that competition. These sanctions are perfect to not have any competition. So if Iran does become free, does Saudi fully want that? Do they? Maybe. Does Qatar really want to lose that business? Do they really, really want to have Iran that's got influence over Strait of Hormuz, a fifth of the oil supply that moves from? Do they really want that place to be free? There's a part of it where it's kind of like, how some people are like, man, I hate the fact that this is going on to New York. And the same people that hate the fact that what's going on in New York right now, that's about to become the next Dearborn, London, and next, Detroit, their same ones are like, I hope it happens because I just want them to realize what they voted for. I hope it happens. So it's like this thing that's like, and there's a group of people that are like, I hope it happens. They're like, I hope they figured out because I don't want these crazy people from New York to come to Florida and flip the state. I don't want you to come to Florida. Stay in New York. I hope it doesn't happen. So these Saudi, Qatar states are like, yeah, we want it to be peaceful. We don't want them to have nuclear weapon. But can we kind of keep the sanctions on them so we keep getting this business that we're making? This is the part. So to get the job done, someone's got to be able to rally this whole thing to make it happen. But anyways, we will see what's going to happen. We'll continue. I'm going to get to the next topic here of daddy. Daddy. Trump was called daddy, and not by his wife. Somebody called Trump daddy. And this is NATO. And he's being asked this question, and the president is laughing, okay? I don't think this is the one drop. Oh, this is where he calls him daddy, and then it goes to the next one. Watch this clip here, folks. Go for it.
I mean, we may do papers on it, Marco. Maybe we're going to do papers. I don't even know if you need them. They're not going to be fighting each other. They've had it. They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. They fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes. Then it's easier to stop them.
And then daddy has to sometimes use strong language to
You have to use strong language. Every once in a while, you have to use a certain word.
I think we have to join the house.
Daddy. It wasn't called in
It's
the
like
daddy
daddy has
like
to
a
come
daddy.
in and-
Like it's not like call her daddy or call Trump daddy. But it was daddy's got to get it done. But watch this here. This is such a funny moment. And the best part about this clip is try to watch Marco Rubio trying to keep a straight face. Watch this, folks. Go ahead. Focus on Marco Rubio.
Mark Rutte, the NATO chief, who is your friend, he called you daddy earlier. Do you regard your NATO allies as kind of children?
No, he likes me. I think he likes me. If he doesn't, I'll let you know. I'll come back and I'll hit him hard, okay? No?
Do you
He did
regard-
it very affectionate. Daddy, you're my daddy.
Do you regard your NATO allies, though, as kind of like children, and they're obviously listening to you and they're spending more, and you're obviously appreciative of that, but do you hope that actually they're going to be able to defend themselves, defend Europe on their own without...
I think they need help a little bit at the beginning. And
All right, so that's that part about the daddy conversation of going back and forth, which is kind of interesting to watch. What's this one, Rob?
So this is Mark Rutte, the NATO National Security Advisor, who called Trump daddy in the first place, and here he is explaining why he does believe that Trump deserves the daddy title.
Go for it.
Deborah Hayes from Sky News. Hello. The language that you have used when talking to Donald Trump has been notable because of its flattery. Today you called him daddy. You sent a text message to him that was gushing with praise. Is this the way that you feel you have to act when doing business with the US president, through flattery and praise? Isn't it a bit demeaning, and doesn't it make you look weak?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a bit of a question of taste, but I think he's a good friend. And when he is doing stuff which is forcing us to, for example, when it comes to making more investments, would you ever think that this would be the result of this summit if he would not have been elected president? Do you really think that the 7 or 8 countries who said, yeah, somewhere in the 2030s we might meet the 2%, we've now all decided in the last 4 or 5 months to get to 2%?
Bingo.
So doesn't he deserve some praise?
Bingo.
And when it comes to Iran, the fact that he took this decisive action, very targeted, to make sure that Iran would not be able to get his hands on a nuclear capability, I think he deserves all the praise.
Rob, you can pause that. How big of a deal is this, Tom? That he's getting, just a few years ago, he's calling on NATO. It was like, what's the big deal? Leave him alone. And I was like, oh, shit. We're paying more. They're not paying it. Why are we paying it? Should we worry about it? They're your neighbors. How big of a deal is this that even now they're flipping, leaders are defending Trump?
Well, I think there's two key angles here. One, there is a demonstrative change that is happening in the way that the foreign leaders and people are responding to Trump.
Yeah.
It is different than it was 60 days ago. It's especially different than it was 14 days ago, and very, very different from when he first stepped in, was talking about tariffs, everybody around the world. This crazy person is talking about tariffs.
Yep.
There has been a big change in that. The second line is, look at the bias of Sky News. That's from the UK. Look at her bias. Oh, you're calling them your children. Isn't that disrespectful? And then she's talking to him. Oh, don't you think that looks weak? This is not a media searching for an answer. This is not a media looking for how do we get this together to build economic stability to the benefit of all people. This is media looking for a cheap headline as this liberal reporter from Sky News has the opportunity to ask questions of two of the major leaders on the stage. She chooses that. That's what she chooses. I have zero respect for her as a reporter. You have an opportunity to cover such big issues. Oh, and you focus on daddy because you're trying to instigate it. Anything but Trump. Anything but Trump.
You think she was being unfair? You think she was being a little unfair, trying to look for a soundbite?
I'm going to hold back. But yes, and I think...
Do you guys know each other? Like,
Don't hold back, Tom.
Yeah. No.
It almost seems like it's personal.
I think that reporter is
What's her name? Can we look up this?
She
did
is
she go to
emblematic
Cal State
of
University
what is
Northridge?
wrong. Look, the press of Walter Cronkite looked for the story.
Yeah.
The press of the history looked for to bring transparency to the people. Yeah. She looks to bring controversy, and she's not alone. She is no different from Joy Reid, a liberal press trying to go after leaders and create headlines and controversies when there's really nothing there.
Pissed off.
And mind you, he didn't call him daddy. He's saying in regards to how he's handling it, they would consider him daddy.
She tried to leverage it. Do you think that children?
Yes.
No, I think that you're being completely immature and childish in the way you're trying to approach this. Meanwhile, it just grates on the media that the world leadership is starting to coalesce and starting to show some respect and starting to come together because you know what they're thinking?
Point, Tom.
You know what the media is thinking in their rooms when they do prep?
Very good point.
They're thinking this. Oh, shit, it's working for
That's
him.
right. They're getting along. They're getting progress being made. And they do not want that because they need a little bit of the division. I don't know your relationship with that lady, whether you guys went to school together or any of that stuff. But I agree with the part on what you're saying, the fact that this is bringing nations together. There was a moment that I want to share with you It's a very emotional moment. And this lady is talking to the president about her husband being at war. And it's such a beautiful exchange. It's such a beautiful, innocent exchange. Rob, I texted it to you. If you can pull this one up, we moved on from CSUN. I just want you to go. If you can pull this up on the clip, I literally just texted it to you right now. So this reporter is asking a question. She's from Ukraine, okay? She's concerned for her husband. And look at a president response. I love this. Go for it.
Use Ukrainian.
Where are you from?
I'm from Ukraine.
Oh,
so my question to you is whether or not the U.S. is ready to sell anti-air missile systems Patriot to Ukraine. We know that Russia has been pounding Ukraine really heavily right now.
Are you living yourself now in Ukraine?
My husband is there.
Wow.
And
I can see you're very, it's amazing.
And me with the kids, I'm in Warsaw actually, because he wanted me to be.
Is your husband a soldier? No?
He's
there now?
Yeah.
Wow. That's rough stuff, right? That's tough. And you're living here?
In Warsaw.
And you're a reporter?
I am.
Good. So let me just tell you, they do want to have the missiles, okay, as they call them, the Patriots. And we're going to see if we can make some available, They're very hard to get. We need them too. We were supplying them to Israel, and they're very effective, 100% effective. Hard to believe how effective. And they do want that more than any other thing, as you probably know. That's a very good question. And I wish you a lot of luck. I mean, I can see it's very upsetting to you. So say hello to your husband, okay? Thank you.
You can see.
I love it. Listen, with all this stuff that's happening, that's a genuine, he actually gives a damn about people. I get it. It's a crappy situation with everything that we've done with that war. Yeah. But when he's actually like, so where are you? Is he here? Is there? Nobody really gives a shit. He actually does care. And that's why I love his ass.
It was a great moment. Adam, your thoughts on that moment there?
So I'll tell you a funny story. One time I'm looking at my phone, I get a call and a text, and it's from someone named Daddy, and it said, "Come to my office right now." I said, "Holy shit, what is going on here right now?" That was PBD. I don't know. Somehow PBD is in my phone as Daddy. But here's the deal. When Daddy calls, you pick up the damn phone and you listen. This whole conversation around Daddy, I know that they're making a joke. Oh, is he Daddy? Trump is your daddy. There's the famous podcast, Call Her Daddy. No. Call him Daddy. That's who Trump is at this point. So NATO's calling him Daddy. The Latinos in Miami are calling him Papi. Usher had a song called Daddy's Home. They're playing that left and right on the interweb. Trump's the man. Trump, undisputably at this point, not like 2016, Trump is the #1 leader in the world, unquestionably. In 2016, when Trump was the president, he was getting basically dismantled left and right by his own party, by the Democrats, by the swamp, by the media. This time, Trump's coming in and going, I'm the man. And I'm going to do whatever I need to do to make the world a better place and protect America and utilize America first. So it turns out that everything that Trump said in 2016, a lot of it is right. Drain the swamp, well, turns out we need to do that. Build a wall, turns out we need to do that. And in this particular case, make NATO pay. That's exactly what's happening. Because, everyone's talking about the daddy thing, but here are the 3 biggest takeaways that happened at the actual meeting. Number 1, NATO agreed to up their defense spending from 2% to 5%.
That's a big deal.
In the next 10 years.
Crazy. Right.
So 2035. So what? You were paying $1 billion? Now you got to pay $2.5 billion for your defense? Yes.
Their
NATO
fair
member,
share,
whatever
Adam.
it is.
It's their fair
exactly.
share.
Pay your fair share. Make NATO pay. Number 2, Trump doubled down on exactly what he did in Iran. The world is a safer place. Pete Hegseth came out and said what he had to say. But the last part here, the guy that called him Daddy, his name is Mark Rutte. He's the attorney, the Secretary General of NATO. He basically came out and said, "Thank you, Daddy, for coming here and saving NATO." So, there's a whole conversation of like Anthony McEnany talking about make Daddy a sandwich. Make Daddy a sandwich and let Trump keep doing Trump. That's Daddy's home.
Daddy's home. Boom,
yep.
boom, boom, boom. By the way, tell him the whole story about why the phone said Daddy. Because the user on Apple, when I was flying, it wouldn't let me text. And one of my accounts from 20 years ago, 15 years ago, has Daddy in it. But that's a
okay,
Papi.
Story. I see what's going on.
Papi.
So we're going
Papi Chulo.
Papi Chulo in Miami.
Let me go to the next. Let's change it to a completely different story, Tom. I'm going to go to the story about Rogan and Liver King. I don't know if you guys are following this closely or not. Rogan is out there minding his own business, and then all of a sudden, here's a story, Daily Mail. Netflix star is arrested for unhinged threats to Joe Rogan. All right? Now, Joe Rogan, why would you do that to Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan's a nice guy, loved. I think he's the one guy that's loved, liked, and respected. He's a trifecta. He's got all the three of them right there. So Rogan gives Brian Johnson, known as Liver King, a disgraced influencer, was arrested in Austin, Texas, for making a terroristic threat. Really, they're using that word against podcaster Joe Rogan, with Johnson posting a video from a hotel room saying, "I challenge you today, Joe Rogan. I'm here at Four Seasons in Austin. I'm in the shower." In the shower. He asked, I don't even think he showered. He said he didn't shower, right?
He doesn't shower.
F you, Joe Rogan. You guys can call the cops after blaming Rogan for exposing his 2022 steroid scandal. Johnson threats included a video where he danced in what appeared to be two gold-plated guns wearing a... Rob, do you have all the videos? I've got threatened to kill anybody. I've not threatened to kill... Rob, just play this clip because I almost can't read it. Go for it, Rob.
Okay, real quick. P.S. What I'm hoping is that you, Joe Rogan, are thinking, I'm going to choke that motherfucker out, lights out, I'm going to choke him out. And I kind of hope that if you win, that's how it happens, because, like, to wake up from that dream, that's a good feeling. And then anything else that you could break on me, break it on me. I hope that you won't feel me tap. That's never happening, tapping, because I have something actually to fight for. Actually, that's my family. I have a principle to fight for. That's what I'm, what if he actually does what he's saying? What if that would be interesting? That would be interesting. What do you have to fight for? You're fighting. I hope you're mad. You should choke me out. You know how to do that. You're trained. You're trained. You got a black belt. Black belt in jiu-jitsu. I hope you choke me out. And if you don't choke me out, these other limbs will be interesting. Should be very interesting. That's the PS. I already thought about my game plan. I don't have a plan. I'm not going to train. But I hope you've been training. And I'm ready whenever you're ready.
Clip with the cockroach. There's a clip. What's this one, Rob? There's another one with a cockroach.
I don't have the cockroach
I
clip.
just texted it to you.
Oh, okay.
What's this one?
This is another weird clip from the
In
Liver
Austin,
King.
he's waiting for Rogan?
I believe this is before he left for Austin. This is him at his home where he... I'll show you.
Everything. Because Joe Rogan, we don't have to make videos to pretend anymore.
Looks totally normal.
All of this is happening. We're coming
Totally
to you.
sane.
I challenge you man to man to a fight. Honorable. And we don't have to pretend or make any videos. The world is watching. They'll make the videos for us. And you don't have to hold a camera. You can hold the hand of somebody that you love, because what happens next to you, you're going to need to remember that feeling. You're going to need something more than what you did to give you something to fight for, because I have my family to fight for.
Rob, okay, go to the cockroach one, because this one throws me off a little bit. I'm trying to really...
Something's wrong.
I mean, look, I don't, have you ever befriended a cockroach? This is the first time I've ever seen somebody make a friend with a cockroach. But, I mean,
Really?
everybody has different...
Yeah,
Like, we were in
relationships.
Mexico at Oaxaca. Was it Oaxaca? Or no, we were in Guerrero. We were eating, Mario was having mezcal. This is many years ago. And we were eating crickets, and it was delicious with lemon and...
Really?
Yeah, but I've never befriended a cockroach.
You never...
And in Iran, there was a lot of... Like, in Iran, you would drink Coke, 20% chance there's a cockroach.
roach in there.
If you drank Coke,
Nice.
if you're Iranian, you know this. If you lived in Iran in the 70s and 80s, and you drank Coke, specifically 80s, 10-20% chance there was a cockroach in the Coke.
Seriously?
So if you could get past it, it's fine. But I never befriended one. Go ahead.
Let's make Iran great again. Let's get some
Rob, play
cockroaches
this.
in sodas.
Watch this clip here. Very interesting.
Starts today. I don't even know what day it is. But it's starting. And I'm not going to go to sleep. And I am going to sleep. I'm going to rest. But right now, I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight for my family, for what's right. And I'm not going to stop. And I'm going to fight until until, oh, there's a cockroach right there. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. Yeah. Oh, there you little cockroach friend. Yeah. Oh, my friend, do y'all see him? Yeah. Oh, come here, little cockroach. Starts to.
You've never had that relationship before?
Okay.
Like, you've never had that relationship?
Completely lost his mind.
By the way, he got arrested, I think, right? Rob,
Yeah,
is
he
that
was
what
arrested.
happened? Can you go back? Is
Shock.
this it? Go for it.
Shocker.
What happened here? Is this them? He called, I think
This is
Joe's
him.
camp called the FBI.
Yep, I believe this is at the hotel that he made the videos from. He's being detained.
Okay, so that's that part.
And then there's one final quick video. This
You
is
have the
just
Rogan explaining what happened.
I could not find that.
I'll find it for you.
Okay, and while we're looking for that, I have this. This is after he was arrested. He's wearing an ankle monitor while still in Austin, Texas, and continues to threaten to fight Joe Rogan.
And before he plays it, Pat, mind you, he has the bond set for $20,000. And yeah, the judge ordered him to stay 200 yards away from his family and surrender any firearms while he's going through mental health evaluation.
Go for it.
Rogan versus Liver King. Again, it's not what you think. I'm talking about the filmmaker, the funny, the actual genius comedian, good and true. That guy's good and true. I'll pick a funny fight with him. So we're gonna go there for that reason. But 200 yards, restrain myself.
I
I
don't get
must
this, Rob.
do.
What's he
If
saying here?
anybody, here's how we do it. If anybody's last name is Rogan, and you're in the capital of Austin, Texas, like Capitol Hill stuff place, like where they make laws, like Rogan versus Liver King, where bullies that are big, that don't just do good and true,
I don't
are
get
held
this, Rob. You
accountable.
can't pause it. So, Vinny, what's going on here?
Well, first and foremost, I know that we're laughing and stuff, but I think this is really important to point out. June is mental health awareness month. Okay, no, and I'm being dead serious. It's meant to highlight how serious this stuff is. Okay, we as men, we bottle stuff up way too long. This month is about breaking that pattern. It's about reminding guys for asking for help. It isn't weakness. It's survival. Speaking of survival, it's the Liver King. But remember, Pat, this guy's 47 years old. He built his brand on the raw meat, the caveman lifestyle. What was it? The tenements and all that stuff. He said he was all natural, but found out he was spending $11,000 on a month on steroids, and it blew up in his face. Cost him deals. His products all took a huge hit. Led to lawsuits. But if you haven't seen the Netflix documentary, it's really, really messed up. They got with these agencies to make him big, and he blew up, but it was all on a lie. And I could
How much was he spending a month?
$11,000 on juice time. I mean, you could obviously tell.
Wow.
Because, and that's a photo of us right there. That's nobody. Look at him. He looked normal-ish for as normal as you could be. No deodorant. By the way, I had to wash
That's
that
right.
hoodie.
And deodorant would just be $4.99, so it really wouldn't have taken a big hit to that budget.
And look how tall he is.
Yeah, no.
'Cause Vinny, look at that. Vinny's 5'4". This
Yeah.
guy, is he 5? How tall is this guy?
And Adam's gay, and he was the furthest away from him. Adam normally, when there's a guy with a
Very
shirt off,
strong in that
Adam's
picture.
normally
because-
underneath him. But anyway,
Because there's a weapon of
Adam,
ass
I love you.
destruction in there.
But guys, and on the opposite side, because Pat, how this mental something's gone. You could see behind his eyes, and what he did do? He took ayahuasca, I think in March or May, and I'm telling you guys right now, and people don't understand. That type of stuff can push you over the edge, okay? It's not some spiritual, harmless, retreat. It cracks your mind open. It floods your brain with hallucinogens, okay? It could break down your ego and forces you to face stuff, Tom, that's buried deep inside. And some think if you're not emotionally there, you're already, you know what I'm saying, Malik? If you're on shaky ground, Tom, it can shatter you.
Wasn't it 2 weeks later, he was in Beverly Hills and he broke after us?
He
it
broke.
was very quick. Am I right?
He was in the streets going, I'm on steroids.
But it wasn't that long. It was just a couple of weeks, wasn't it?
Yeah. So something, and guys,
and you saw it. It was like an emotional, nervous breakdown on the corner of Beverly Hills.
And horrible. And I don't know. Listen, I'm not married. I don't know how the relationship thing works. And he's the alpha. He's in charge of the family. But where's the family? Where's your wife? Where's your friends? They should be getting involved.
His kids were there on the podcast. His wife showed up.
That's what
Everybody was there.
What I'm saying,
and
right,
by the way,
right now, Pat, I feel bad. Stop him.
Yeah, Adam, go for it. I got a few things I want to say about this, which is very difficult. But go ahead, Adam.
Here's my thoughts on the Liver King. So he's, at the end of the day, just a pure savage animal. And I say that in a respectful way. When he came to the podcast, I remember that podcast, he came with his wife and kids. The Liver Queen, I believe is what she's called, and his family.
Yep.
You know, PBD, you mention a movie all the time. It's called Primal Fear.
Yep.
With Richard Gere and Edward Norton. You talk about that movie quite often, don't you?
Yeah.
But he's dealing with, you're seeing the animal instincts of primal fear. Don't get it twisted. This toughness, this rage is masking his genuine primal fear that everything he's built and everything that he's worked on and his entire family could potentially be taken away. Whether it's accusations, whether it's steroids, whether it's money. His survival instincts are kicking in, and he's using Joe Rogan as sort of the avatar for the world attacking him. So in my opinion, he is close to the edge because in his mind, his primal instincts are taking over. He fears that everything he's built will be gone, and his love for his family is being masked by rage. Slippery slope that he's on, and I wish him the best, and I hope he gets out of this mess.
Tom.
It's not looking good.
No, yeah, and I was just trying to look and see if I can find that date, but it was just a matter of weeks where he just absolutely had a nervous breakdown, where the whole, it seems like the curtain opened and they discovered that it was a charade, that it wasn't just eating mostly liver and other organ meats and working out. It was, man, that may have given you stacks of animal fat and protein and animal muscle protein, but you were juiced beyond juiced, and to the point of it having, you know, psychological effects on you. And I felt bad. I actually felt bad. I don't have pity, but I'm like, wow, you know, the guy broke. The thing broke, and now he's searching for significant. He's lashing out. The most thing that was nearest was Rogan, and it's terrible.
And by the way, you know what
it's
Rogan
actually
said?
terrible to see
Rogan
this
said
when it's
everyone has been reaching out to have him on the podcast. He says friends are even asking, hey, do you want to have Liver King on the podcast or not? He says, no, I don't want to have him on the podcast. And that was kind of like one way of, you know, whether he was not happy about not getting on the Rogan podcast, et cetera, it's kind of made him upset.
It would break records.
Yeah, I don't think it would actually.
No.
I actually think it's the opposite. I don't think it would break records.
Really?
I don't think that many people are interested in this conversation.
No.
I don't think
I agree.
it's something that's going to do extremely well.
Not
And I would be
now.
the one to say it. And I've spoken to Johnson many times, Brian, outside of our podcast, just basic conversations, things that he haven't spoken to him for probably 5, 6 months, 7 months, but I've spoken to him outside of the podcast. Here's what I would tell you. You have to be very careful about the way life works and limelight works and attention works and success works. There is a documentary. If you've never seen it, I've recommended this to so many people, and most people have never heard about it before. It's called The Provocateur. It's the story of Morton Downey Jr., okay? You've heard me talk about it 3 or 4 times. Whatever you do, go watch this documentary. Before there was Alex Jones, before there was any of these podcasters that are blown up, before there was Pat McAfee, before there was the Becks of the world, before there was any of these guys, there was a guy named Morton Downey Jr. And for 18 months, Morton Downey Jr. was number 1. He beat Oprah Winfrey. He beat Montel Williams, who used to be number 1. He beat out so many people, it was insane. And the way he did it was to evoke. He would instigate. He would get in Ron Paul's face. You ever seen a clip of what he does to Ron Paul, Rob? I mean, when Ron Paul was in his 30s, he went on Morton Downey Jr.'s. Have you seen this clip?
No.
Okay. He would smoke like 4 or 5 packs
During
a day.
the show?
No. This
During
guy
the
was
show.
this guy, Morton Downey Jr.
Oh, this is
So a young, can you find, is that the one, Rob? How many minutes is it? Oh, shoot. You got to go to, so fast forward when Ron Paul gets upset and he gets in his, right there. Go back a little bit. Go back a little bit. Go back a little bit. Right there. Go back a little bit more. Right there. Press play. This is how he was. Watch this. Press play.
The guy looks like he just came from Emmett Kelly's funeral.
You're avoiding the issue when you attack his clothes. Stick to the issue.
Right.
The issues are drugs
I'll
and
stick
freedom.
to the issues, pal.
That's Ron Paul.
If I had a slime like you in the White House, I'd puke on you.
Oh,
Okay,
this is
so,
like Jerry
so
Springer.
by the way, look at him. So this is who he was. Yeah. He was a provocateur. And then eventually, you know how he falls? Do you know the story about how he falls? So his ratings take a hit. And when his ratings take a hit, he's no longer getting the same attention that he did for about a month. Do you know the story, Rob, or know what he does? He goes in an airport bathroom, asks his producer to shave a part of his hair, to cut some part of his hair, and put like with a marker swastika on his back, and says white nationalist right there. Look, with swastika on his face, and claims that he was attacked at the airport by white nationalists or Nazis or something. Not Nazis, by I don't know who it was, Rob. And
tried to pull a Jussie Smollett.
He did a Jussie Smollett.
Yeah, and by the way, he blows like everyone's. Oh my God, you know, because of what I'm talking about, they hate me. They want to stop me. I was like, holy shit, this guy's blown up. And then what ends up happening? His producer's like, dude, I can't keep this life for this long. They go on Phil Donahue, and he admits the fact that this was all a lie and never happened. This isn't new on what's going on with Liver King. Mm-hmm. There's nothing more addicting than attention. Mm-hmm. There's nothing more addicting than becoming a celebrity and people recognizing you. And oh my God, there's nothing more addicting than a woman who does 78 surgeries to try to go back and look like the way she did at 25 years old because she misses that attention. The attention that you get eventually doesn't become the same. And if you go like this and use something like you did, and all you had to do is say, I use juice.
That's it.
That's all you have to do. All you have to do is, no, I'm using steroids. Remember when I talked about his abs? I'm like, dude, do you have something in here?
Yeah.
Like, Oscar De La Hoya said, what? I got a surgery done. Look at this. It looks good.
Yep.
All you have to do is be straight up about it. But no, the attention got to him. It went. Didn't know how to handle it. And unfortunately, he's going through this right now. And it doesn't look like it's going to end well. The way this story is going, it's going to end up being very nasty. I hope it doesn't end nasty. I hope the right people can get a hold of him. I hope what you were talking about earlier, good friends come in and sit down and have a conversation with you and things change. But till then, we pray for him. And we hopefully, again, family, kids, wife, brothers, siblings are able to get a hold of him, have a conversation with him. All right. But by the way, as much as this is a lot of hate that he got for it, I will still continue eating liver, and I love liver.
I'm ordering.
I will never get away from my jigad, and I like to eat it super rare.
I make it like
30 seconds. Boom, take it, boom, cut it, blood. We eat it.
Grass
it's phenomenal.
fed, grass finished.
Can I apologize to Vinny real quick? I'm sorry for lashing out at you, man. I didn't mean that.
It's okay.
Part of why I said that was because when the Liver King was here, Vinny, you promised to bring us liver to the show.
I know.
And you've never done it. And
I
this
brought it
was
to Pat's
me.
house.
It's actually a good point.
And Adam, I apologize for.
I'm an angry Jew.
See, Adam,
and I wanted some liver.
Folks.
And Adam, I
believe as an angry patriot, you'd understand, no?
I apologize for calling you homosexual, even though it's Pride Month.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry.
Sorry.
Oh, kill me now.
Tom, stop it. Go ahead, Pat.
All right, I'm going to get to the next story here.
Tom,
Austin
Poppy,
Metcalf.
Daddy, calm down.
Tom, Austin Metcalf's suspected killer, indicted on first-degree murder charge in track stabbing. Go ahead and play the clip, Rob. Go for it.
Good afternoon. Earlier this spring, our community was shaken by what happened at a school track meet in Frisco. The violent loss of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. For weeks now, my team has been presenting evidence to the grand jury, and today I summarized that evidence, and I asked the grand jury to return a first-degree murder indictment against Carmelo Anthony, which they did. With this indictment, the case now moves formally into the court system. From this point forward, we'll continue doing our job both fully and fairly to pursue justice under the law. As for the scheduling of the trial, that will be up to the court. But when the time comes, we will be ready. Now, we know that this case has struck a deep nerve here in Collin County and beyond. And that's understandable. When something like this happens at a school event, it shakes people to the core. But let's remember that the justice system works best when it moves with steadiness and principle. That's what we're committed to, and that's what this case deserves. We're also mindful of Austin's family and everyone who loved him. Please keep them in your thoughts, and if you're willing, your prayers as well. Finally, let's remember that a defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law.
Is he? Okay, you know what his voice sounded like? It was like a
sleep machine.
Sunday school, like
I was
for kids, like a Sunday school teacher, like you're trying to put the kids to.
I was about to go to sleep.
Hour nap.
Yeah, that would have put me down. Tom's out.
We pray in the
Tom's out.
So Carmelo Anthony, 18 years old, athlete from Frisco, County High School, was indicted first-degree murder, stabbing Austin Metcalf, 17-year-old junior Memorial High School with Collin County County District Greg Williams. So, Vinny, this story here, your thoughts on what we know about this story?
Actually, so Remember when it first happened? And me and Tom were talking about this yesterday. Everybody was all, especially the African American community, especially those people. Like I don't know if it was his attorney or somebody. This freaking guy who's been arrested multiple times. I think it was attempted murder or something. Rob, if you could help me find out who this guy was. And the whole story was, as we always said, the black kid was the victim. Okay. He was there. He was approached by the white guy. The white guy tried to get tough, and he stabbed him in self-defense. Okay. Now, allegedly, there's video showing that there was no threat, that he was just standing there talking to him, and this guy took out a knife that he brought to a track meet for no reason.
Video shows.
They're saying that there's footage because, Pat, for them to come back with an indictment for first-degree murder, you know what that means? They have sufficient evidence to say, okay, we're seeing what we're not seeing, what the public always tries to say, which it's sufficient enough to take in. And I know this from people that are lawyers, and one of them, Selena, who's on Manek, that they have they hate going to trial, the state, Pat, if they don't have a home run hit, meaning they think that it's over 90% that they're gonna win. Okay, and this kid died in his twin brother's arms. Okay, and still the media tiptoed around it and tried to act like, no, it was BS. And this is what pissed me off. The family pulled in $515,000. The public, without knowing any evidence, without seeing one freaking video, they're like, let's send this family money because we think that this kid is innocent. So they paid for the legal fees, the rent, security, relocated them to a gated community, which I believe was $3,500 a month. And the campaign was run by Jacob Wells. And they're not getting any of that cash until it hits $600,000. But anyway, just the bottom line is, it's all smoke and mirrors. Okay, the media would rather hype up the racism than show or wait for the evidence. Okay, and it just drives me crazy that in those moments, all the race card gets promoted, but nobody waits for the evidence. And God bless the father of Jesse Metcalf. I still got to give that guy credit back, because regardless of everything that happened, he did get a little bit choked up, but he said, we have to pray for this kid. We have to pray for this kid's family and hope that this kid sees the light, even though in the darkness of what he did, the crime that he did, because his father knows what was up, because his brother told him what happened. So I just hope justice is done. And again, I have to pray for this guy and hope that he finds, some love in his heart for everything that he just did.
And by the way, his GoFundMe, Rob, is that correct that they raised, the goal was $1.396 million. They raised $538,000.
Yep.
Does that money end up going to them whether it gets finalized or not? Do you know if that money gets activated or no?
I don't know if that's a very good question. I don't know if you know. I think you could just stop the campaign whenever you want, Rob, and take the money.
Take the money.
If I'm not mistaken, because I've done it when we raised the money for the guy.
And what is the level of accountability for the money?
They don't give it. No, they don't. I don't think they give two shits. Once it's gone, Pat. All they worry about is the moment of, okay, transaction and give, send, go, or whatever gets the money percentage, and then it goes all right to the family.
Tom, you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, this is called due process, and everybody says I was denied due process. I was denied due process. Look, this was not the DA bringing it. This was a DA going to a grand jury, and there were eyewitnesses. But what there also was, they were at a track meet, and other people with camera phones taking pictures of their own children and things happening. And grand jury got a hold of the rest of that and saw him reach into the bag and do things. So the DA came back and said, I have a very strong case. And by the way, it's not just aggravated assault resulting in murder. No, it's not murder 2, getting angry and doing it. No, it's murder 1.
First degree.
And murder 1 is the highest, most difficult bar. Requires revenge, premeditation, and specific intent that is fully planned and contemplated. And so due process took place here, because the process normally is you have arrest, you have booking, you have the district attorney, or in this case, a grand jury make it down. But instead, we had a bunch of other steps inserted in there. This grandstanding, that's not part of due process. Spin by the media, that's not part of due process. Raising a legal defense fund. Now, this is legal. It is perfectly legal to go to Give, Send, or other places and raise a legal defense fund if you think someone has been wronged and you don't want them to use the public defender. You want to make sure they can hire other assumably more competent people. But due process is flowing here. And the DA, I applaud him for being very measured and specific and then saying, you are innocent until proven guilty, and this is the charge that we believe we're going to prove. But the next step is court. So I think we all have to remember there's another victim here, right? The victim is Austin Metcalf and everything that's there. But the other victim is whatever happened to this young man who's going to be on the permanent payroll of the U.S. government or the Texas correctional system to the tune of 45 to 50 grand a year for the rest of his life. And so you have to remember he's about to enter crime college. And so I just see a lot of victims here. And what happened to this young man that he got himself to the point that before he's ever really a full-blown 21-year-old individual out in society, that he has the capacity to get to such a dark place and to go down and do this. And so that's what I think. But for everybody complaining about due process, it's here and it's running. Shut up.
Adam.
Yeah.
Just
well,
first he gets
justice
upset
was
at the
served.
lady, CSUN, and go for it, Adam. Tom's got
sorry.
a temper today.
Can you hear me
Go
okay?
ahead. I'm listening to you. Go for it.
Sir, sorry.
Yeah.
So justice was served. What they tried to do, as Vinny pointed out, was try to make this into a race thing. They really tried to turn this into a race thing. PBD on the podcast we did Tuesday, you talked about how everyone has bias.
Yep.
You're so right. All right, this person has bias. What side are they on?
Yep.
How do they develop
Yep.
their relationships? What issues do they process? Bias, bias, bias. There's people out there that genuinely saw a black kid versus a white kid, and they go, I got the black kid's back. Straight up. Doesn't matter that he murdered somebody. Doesn't matter that he just got convicted of first-degree murder. I'm on his team. I'm going to donate money. What? So he tried to raise, I think, over $1 million. They raised $500,000. There are people that were simply coming to his fence because he was black. There's no other reason. He just got convicted of first-degree murder. By the way, the same people could also be guilty on the other side. There's people, oh, he's white. We got to defend the white guy. Let justice persevere. They call it blind justice. Justice was served. This gentleman, this young kid, this 17-year-old, ruined his life. He took somebody's life. He ruined the life of the family. This kid had a twin brother, did he not, Austin Metcalf? Twin brother.
Yep.
What does that kid have to do?
Yep.
What does that kid have to do when he looks in the mirror every single day and sees his brother's face, his dead brother's face? So justice was served. We all have bias, and I think people should check their bias before they weigh in on situations. Am I biased on this because he's black or white or Christian or Jewish or Muslim? Probably yes. But thank God in the United States, we don't care about bias. We care about justice.
And just to clarify, there was a GoFundMe set up for Carmelo Anthony. It was taken down once it reached six figures. Estimated was about $160,000 before GoFundMe removed it because their policy bans fundraisers for violent crimes defense. And to answer your question, Pat, there is no automatic accountability for how the money is spent on Give, Send, Go. It's up to the fundraiser organizer to be transparent, but there's no built-in oversight. So as for the goal, you don't have to wait for it to hit the goal. You can access the cash whenever you want.
Makes sense.
And by the way, I appreciate Adam's point. I appreciate it, Adam. In the middle of your point, you may not have realized that you said convicted. He's actually been indicted, and the next step is the full trial.
Yeah. So, okay, thanks for that correction. We'll see what happened here. Next story I want to get into, folks. This is a story that may be a boring story, but it has to do with your money. You may want to pay attention to it because you have to understand them. So, U.S. liability insurance on verge of breakdown from tide of claims. Okay, from tide of claims that they're getting. Okay, and remember, all these people are in business to make money. You have a job. You don't do it for free. You work to make money so you can pay the bills. Companies build businesses to make money. And if they don't make money, they either go bankrupt, they sell to somebody else that has money, or they find a way to raise the prices, fire people, make some kind of adjustments, right? The U.S. casualty insurance market, which protects businesses against legal claims for employees, customers, or other harmed by operations or products, faces a potential breakdown with Everest Chief of Executive Jim Williamson warning it won't be a question of how much we're willing to pay. The cover won't be available. Prices rose 8% in the first quarter, making 23 consecutive quarters of increases per March, despite insurance introducing exclusions for claims like data privacy violations and forever chemical pollutants. Williamson noted no one will offer it at any price, citing a surge in payouts driven by what he called fraud, legal systems, abuse, and runaway jury verdicts. Insurers are grappling with rising claims, promoting Everest to set aside $1.7 billion in reserves for losses and raise excess liability insurance rates by 20 to 25% annually, with Williamson stating that's an enormous inflationary factor for business. Tom, your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, there's two problems here. The first problem here is it's not the runaway jury. The runaway jury is the end. Because that's a jury that's been selected of the people who are impaneled to listen to a case, and anybody who's registered to vote or have his driver's license and is a citizen can end up on a jury. That's a jury doing its job, and they call it runaway victims. The issue is the lawyers in that courtroom. And the lawyers in that courtroom, which they're referred to as white-collar ambulance chasers, who are bringing claims against companies just for the insurance. And Pat, what's very interesting, and we'll say here, full disclosure, over the years, we've actually done business with Marsh. Marsh has provided insurance to some of the 9 companies that Pat, has founded and led. And so what's interesting here, we've seen this firsthand, where them saying, hey guys, we're going to put the cyber insurance on a secondary policy. Remember that, Pat?
Yeah.
If you will accept to the following limits and protect yourself in the following ways. So we actually increased our own software and security so that we could get a better price, similar to if you show your car has an alarm system, you're a good driver, and you're in a locked garage, you can reduce the cost of your own car insurance because you're reducing the risk of loss. And so what's happening here is the U.S. liability insurance companies are blaming it all on the attorneys that are bringing these cases and things here. That's only part of it. The other part of it is greater education is needed with the companies that are insured. We went out and didn't just accept the bid. Pat always says, hey, get 3 bids for everything and don't let a single vendor do business with you year after year and maybe get too comfortable assuming that you're just going to say, yeah, just renew me. You go out and do it. And so companies need to go out and find out the things we could do because we reduce some of our rates through active examination of our own self to make ourselves more appealing to be assured. But this is bad. At the bottom line, this is bad because these companies are necessary to cover business, and it's a cost of doing business that if this cost keeps rising, it shows up in the cost of the product.
Yeah, it does. And I remember for us, when we would sell an insurance product of a company, and we loved it. We do such a good job selling a product, and all of a sudden they're like, nope, we're shutting down this product. Why? It's not profitable. What do you mean? We've sold thousands of this policy. I know, but it's not profitable. Remember the 35-year ROP that we have, return to premium, that our guys used to love to sell? I can give you so many different annuities.
Midwest carrier.
That's right. And all of a sudden, they would announce this. So this happens, and typically the reason why this happens with insurance companies is because of abuse by customers or regulation because of states. So abuse by customers happens regularly. Abuse by states is what you notice happening with California, where they're forcing them to not raise certain prices.
And the FAIR Plan.
That's right. And the FAIR Plan, and carriers are just saying, I'm out of here. Adam, your thoughts on this here, on this story?
Well, we've all been in the insurance business, Pat, Tom, myself. I don't know about Vinny, but I'm sure he got a discount double check from State Farm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we understand the basic premise of insurance. It's to protect your ass and your assets. So I apologize, but you know what always happens? Shit happens. You ever heard that phrase before? Why do you need insurance? Is because stuff is going to happen that you're not planning for. So everyone has a plan. You know that whole phrase? Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Mike Tyson. Life is going to give you lemons, and you're not always going to be able to afford lemonade, is what they're basically saying. You know, I talk about the 6 principles of wealth and do these 6 things, and then you're going to be able to have financial freedom. Number 5 is insurance and protecting your ass and protecting your assets. We've seen Geico and all these companies try to leave California. Home ownership, home insurance, car insurance. We devalue things that we don't necessarily want or need until we actually need them. I can't understate the importance of insurance, and until it basically leaves your state, it becomes unaffordable, you can't have it anymore, you don't realize what you actually need is the protection that insurance offers. So this is just one more example of what's happening in the insurance markets.
Yeah. So listen, I was going to go to Vinny because Vinny had a very in-depth 20-page slide analysis.
But to be honest with you, Pat,
but
I
due
don't
to
want
lack
to bore
of
the hell
time,
out of everybody.
No, I don't want to do that. It's
with
too
my
technical.
chart. Look, I have charts.
I can't. It's
I got
too technical.
diagrams.
We don't want to do this in
numbers. No, I don't want them.
With your permission, are you okay if we skip this?
Yeah, because my numbers scream, and Pat, they're like today. It's annoying.
I don't want to do that.
And we could get you a whiteboard and you can calculate the loss reserve for us.
I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do it in a how-to after.
Maybe over lunch.
Let's go to this last story and we'll wrap up here. Rogan gives decisive take on MAGA civil war on Iran bombing. Let me go over here.
Although he only has 2 more months. If you listen to Chris Cuomo, he has 2 more months to being on top. And then let's see if Chris's prediction, Chris's prediction comes to pass.
Let me read this here. So, podcaster Joe Rogan supported Libertarian Congressman Thomas Massey's opposition to President Trump's involvement in Israel-Iran conflict, stating on the podcast, go ahead and play the clip. Go for it right here.
I think the whole MAGA thing right now is very divided, particularly because one of the things that they voted for was no war. Well, now it seems like we're in a war, right? So, and it's quick. We're 6 months in, and that's already popped off. And then people are very concerned with now what happens to our troops overseas that are in these bases, that are in vulnerable positions. And
is that the clip?
That was it.
Okay. So, Vinny, your thoughts on this clip here by Rogan? Actually, no, Adam, I'm going to come to you first because this was your story.
Go to Vinny first because I'm having some mic issues.
Okay, Pat, let's just be honest. And how many times have I said this? I've been supportive of Trump since 2016. I was in Los Angeles where it was not only not cool, people were punching people in the head for wearing red hats that weren't even Make America Great Again. I was freaking, they tried to attack, but we were deeper and we know how to fight way better. I would get off stage at certain comedy clubs. I don't want to say the names, but if I said anything positive about Trump or anything, the owner, Tommy, would go out to me and be like, hey, you can't do this. And then I would have Persian, like I do like the Persian night at this place or Middle Eastern night. And there'd be guys up like, man, you in Trump, you can go to, and then it was funny. Once shit started going bad in California, he was like, you know what? F Biden, he would switch, and so everything switched. But just, and this is what I want people to realize. You can like Trump. You could like the policies, which I love a huge amount of policies. If there's certain things that you don't like, that's totally fine. You don't have to agree with everything. What's it? That blind loyalty, Pat. And I get where he's saying, I don't think it's that hardcore divided. People get disappointed because you want perfection. You want every single promise made. I personally, on top of everybody else, I want 0 ground troops. Everybody knows where I stand. I want 0 wars. But sometimes, guys, and it sucks to say it, what Adam says, shit happens. Okay? And I've gotten to the point, and I know people are going to talk shit. I'm not saying war. I still don't want no war. But we have to understand, when there's a freaking group of people, if somebody walked up to us right now, we're at this house, and somebody goes, yo, you know what? I'm going to kill everybody in this freaking house. Whenever I get a chance, whenever I get the guns, I'm going to come back here and kill everybody in this freaking house. I can't just go, okay, yo, peace out, dog. We'll see you. No. That is a threat to me, Tom. And guess what? I take threats like that serious. So I can understand where people right now are like, no. And I saw Candace's thing, jumping out and now saying that I regret telling people to vote or I'm mad about the vote. So you just forget about everything else. You forget about the border. You forget about the fentanyl deaths that are, by the way, the border is shut down, okay? The economy is coming back. I know we have clips. We're probably not going to be able to get it. All the tariffs, everything is starting to come around. NATO, everybody's coming around. This one situation, which mind you, not one American soldier has touched ground. Yes, there was 2, I'm going to say, let's say what, Tom, 6 to 8, maybe 10 people in the B-52 bombers going and then coming back. And again, I don't want any new wars. This is something that the president, which I trust his judgment, let him cook. Adam, we always say this, let him cook. I trust him. He's America first. He gives a shit about people. I love people are trying to throw that whole, well, the Epstein thing, and, you know, Elon said something, so that means he's on the Epstein list, and that's why he's kissing Bibi's ass. No. Donald Trump, I don't give a shit what anybody says. Out of all of them, is America first. Go back and look at the footage from the early 90s, late 80s. I love America. I love America. And all the talk shows that won't even let his ass come on right now. He's America first. And yet, people are disappointed, but disappointment doesn't mean regret your freaking vote and jump ship. Stay the fucking course. Sorry for my language, Pat. And let him do his thing, bro. America is 1,000 times better than what it was the past 4 years with Joe Biden and the Autopen, all the shit that we found out that he wasn't even behind the wheel. So that's how I feel.
All right. Adam, thoughts? And by the way, is that the Rob? You pulled up that clip. Which clip is this?
This is Candace Owens saying she regrets having people vote for
Okay,
Trump.
go for it. Play the clip.
Are you done with Donald Trump, or could you see a way that you would end up perhaps voting for him? Oh, yeah, you can't run again, obviously, but would you support him publicly again?
So I want to be clear. I don't regret voting for Donald Trump above Kamala. I think he was the better candidate, certainly a better candidate above Joe Biden. But what I will say is that he's been a chronic disappointment. And I feel embarrassed that I told people to go vote for him because this wasn't going to happen and it is happening. But I just think that the picture of.
Okay, Adam, your thoughts about what Rogan said and then what Candace said.
Well, yeah, I wonder if Candace is going to take back her wrong words on that. I think she should, because she's abandoning Trump. Nobody voted for you, Candace. Everyone voted for Trump. So the what's getting lost in translation here with Trump, Trump's not a pacifist. Trump's not a pussy. Trump recognizes a threat and will eliminate them. Wasn't Trump that took out General Soleimani? We talked about that the other day. Where was the foreign entanglements when he did that? Wasn't Trump the president who took out ISIS that Obama let occur in the Middle East and said it was a JV team? Wasn't it Trump that took out ISIS? Where were you on that? I think one thing's abundantly freaking clear. Tucker, Candace, Dave Smith, all the neo non-interventionalists these days. Trump is not George W. Bush. He's not going to get us in endless wars. He's not going to continue the foreign entanglements. So when Trump promises no new wars, that doesn't mean he's not a pussy and that he's not going to fire a bullet or take out nuclear weaponry if it needs to be done. He's demonstrated the ability to act targeted and strategic and take out enemies and move the hell on. We're not putting ground troops in Iran. That was never a thing. This outrage, oh my God, it's World War III. You need to get all your kids out of the, you need to de-enlist from the army. Stop it. You're selling fear porn to the American public that, by the way, if you look at any freaking poll, is overwhelmingly in favor of making sure that Iran does not get nuclear weapons. So Trump is not a pacifist. He'll do what needs to get done. He's running the show. No one else is. Tucker, Candace, Dave Smith. Trump's the man. And for all the people that voted for him, stick with your guy. I'm sticking with him.
Thoughts, Tom?
So,
by the way, Candace, last thing. Candace, just let me say one thing. I feel bad for her. I'm sorry. But she was just recently diagnosed with a severe condition. I feel for her. It's called IDS, Israel Derangement Syndrome.
You're funny.
And it's lethal. It's deadly. Trump talked about this. Trump Derangement Syndrome. You know, first it takes over the mind and then it comes for the body. And I wish her well. I hope that she can take some aspirin and get out of this. But right now, all she's doing is blaming everything on Israel, and it's very unattractive.
Tom.
Well, I didn't hear that part in this particular clip, and I'll just respond to this. She's saying, I don't regret voting for Trump. He was the better candidate over all of that, Biden and Kamala Harris. And then she says, I personally feel embarrassed that I encourage people to vote. And that's where I see kind of the chasm here. And if I was sitting here having a cup of coffee with her, I'd say, Candace, you say you don't regret voting, but you regret getting other people to vote. Well, if those other people didn't vote, we don't get the outcome. Something else would have happened. Don't you see that? Now, I know you can say, now you feel like you're taking criticism because, oh, all these things are happening, Candace, and you told us to vote for them. Well, what's the alternative? And I think Candace needs to get back to that. What would have the alternative been? So I don't agree with this. You know, I'm not going to go heavy on the criticism, but I don't agree with the angle here. I'm not embarrassed that I convinced, a particular member of my family to vote for Trump. I'm not embarrassed at all because I'm sticking with the, and I know this is like an NBA thing, trust the process because things are happening. And we started this podcast talking about how things are coming together. Things are starting to coalesce. Yeah. And so it's like, and now let's look at it 60 days from now. And then let's look at that 60 days after then. And let's see what's happening. And in the middle of the fog of war right now, Kristi Noem made a comment about an agreement and things that are very economically beneficial. We just did with Costa Rica. So behind the fog of it all, there's a lot of things going on, and so I'm not embarrassed that I encourage a particular member to vote it.
It's okay. I don't think you should be embarrassed. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay for all of us. But here's what I would say, Adam. What are you laughing at?
It's not your fault.
You know what I look at when I'm looking at you.
I'm going to give
picture.
you permission to say it's okay to vote for Trump.
First of all,
I've been encouraging you to vote for Trump
Adam,
for 8 years, Tom.
You have to. I love how you made sure Tom's statue was in the podcast.
I love
with you
that
because that's all I'm looking at when I look
I'm
at
right up there.
There's
He's
Tom
right
next to
you.
Rocky.
But let me tell you guys about what Rogan said to Bernie, and then what Candace said with Piers. Here's a couple things to keep in mind when it comes down to Candace. I don't know if Candace has to be worried about supporting Trump because I don't know if Candace really fully drove people to go vote for Trump. If I go back and recall, Candace wasn't fully all in supportive gung-ho beginning to the end. That did not happen. It wasn't a fully aggressive, hey, you know what I'm saying?
Not at all.
I don't think she did that.
Nope.
I don't think she was. So she doesn't need to worry about that because she wasn't supportive and she didn't really push people. Yes, when we did our election night and she was there and people were there and then she posted a tweet, I think, that said, hey, congratulations, Trump won. Once it was over with, yes, she was very much in a celebratory mood and it was optimism, excitement, herself. Dave Smith was there and we had, Alex Jones, Cenk Uygur, Dominic Tarczynski. We had a lot of people there that day. I think we even had Cuomo. Brian Callen, Cuomo, a lot of people. Tom did a phenomenal job.
Mike Chandler.
Tommy did a phenomenal job that night. But going back to that with Candace.
Well, thank you for investing in that.
Yeah, I don't think I see Candace as she was like someone that did, and then now it's a disappointment, right? Dave Smith at the Libertarian Conference, Trump was there. He brought Trump up. There was some booze. And then when Trump started saying stuff about getting rid of, Gensler, and then everybody started screaming, and then he said it again. Yeah. That was a turn when things turned around. So, Dave Smith, yes, supported a little bit more than Candace did publicly, in my opinion, and I haven't watched all of them. There may be clips where it's full-on Candace saying 100% Trump vote, all this stuff. But let's go back to what Rogan said. I don't have any problem with it. I don't have any problem with it. I think Thomas Massie has a different position than the president. He's not supportive of the big, beautiful bill. Thomas Massie is not for what AIPAC does. Thomas Massie is not a friend of AIPAC, nor supportive of what AIPAC does. And Thomas Massie has the right to deliver his message and give his insight of what he believes is happening. And then this leads to what? Here's what this leads to, Vinny, Tom, Adam. All of this leads to everyone's number one issue, okay? Some people's number one issue is what? Economy. That's most people. Some people's number one issue was what?
Immigration.
The border. No problem. Some people's number one issue was Israel, okay? In 2028, we're going to find out how much Americans' number one issue is what your number one issue is. I'd love to see Thomas Massie run. I'd love to see Candace run. I'd love to see JD run, Rubio run. I'd love to see Vivek back at it run. I'd love to see a lot of people run. And I'd love to see all these issues getting filtered out and see what happens. Make sense? And then you're going to sit there and say, whoa, I thought it was 50% of people supporting that issue. It's really only 13%. It's not that big because we can post. The best way to test this, folks, it's such a weird dynamic. I can post the same thing on X and get 70% of people that'll hate the same post, and I can post it on Instagram, and 80% supports it. It's like you're in two different countries, okay? And America is not all on X. We all think that everybody on X is what determines what America is. It's not true. The climate on YouTube is different than the climate on LinkedIn, is different than the climate on Facebook, is different than the climate on TikTok, is different than the climate on all these different places. You may post that same thing on X and miserably lose if you post it on LinkedIn. And on LinkedIn, they're like, no, I'm actually not with it, because LinkedIn voters are more what? They're more logical business. They're like, no, and guess who you're going to need? The job creators to support your positions. You're going to need the job creators to say, yeah, this is right. You know, the investment and all this other stuff, that's true. And the job creators are going to be like, nah, I don't know if I'm with it. So I actually don't have any problem with everything that's taking place. I think it's good to have the debate, the discourse. But at the end of the day, within time, people realize who was right, who was not, who took the right position. In 2016, I can think about a lot of influencers that went hardcore against Trump, and they lost 7 years. They literally lost 7 years and had to recover from it 7 years later. I think that's going to happen in this next cycle as well, the next 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 years, to see where and what market, like what communities does the audience watch and say, this person or that person seems to be the most willing to entertain opposing ideas, and they have the ability to reason, and they have certain biases, which is fine, and they're willing to present their argument. And this is where I lean with them. I disagree with them here, but I agree with them here, but I think they're fair here. I think that's what the next phase is. This is the same reason why the Austin Metcalf and the Carmelo Anthony thing that they try to turn into the next, what do you call it, Jussie Smollett, or the next, next black-white division. It didn't work because Americans are like, you've done this so many times, we're done with this. Same thing's going to happen in 2028, and I think Rogan is still going to be number one. I think this whole thing about what Cuomo's worried about,
I do too, because Chris is
Rogan has still got an audience that's very different than everybody else's. Adam, I want to go to the signatures before I wrap up. So that's the only thing I want to go to before I wrap up. Rob, what page is that one on? Can you tell me what page? Actually, you know what? Do I want to go to signatures or teachers union? Vinny, do you have a lot of stuff on the signature stuff?
I don't have a lot. I mean, I could just very briefly just say what
Rob,
it is.
where's that signatures article?
That is page 10 in the Joe Biden Autopen section.
All right, let's go to the Joe Biden Autopen section. Where's that at page 10? I don't see the Joe Biden auto. Oh, there it is. Okay. So ex-Biden aide, Neera Tanden, tells Oversight Committee she was authorized to use Autopen. Whoa. Little weird. Rob, do you have the clip of this?
Yes, this is her outside of the testimony yesterday, where she is asked if she helped in the cover-up of Joe Biden's cognitive decline.
Shoot.
Whoa.
Go for it.
A brief comment. Thank you. I just spoke with the House Oversight Committee, Majority and Minority Council. I answered every question, was pleased to discuss my public service, and it was a thorough process, and I'm glad I answered every question.
Huh,
Is there an effort to disguise President Biden's condition?
Absolutely not.
Look at her walk away. Look at that.
What did he ask?
Were you helpful in the cover-up of Joe Biden's cognitive condition? And she said, absolutely not, and then just walks right
How, okay, you want to talk about body language? Do you see that?
For sure.
This, by the way, so she testified that for 20 months, guys, think about this. And who knows, this is just one instant. From October 2021 to May 2023, she used the Autopen to sign off on, are you ready for this? Documents that included pardons.
Wow.
Heyo. Pardons, executive orders, and more. So, some of it's obviously behind closed doors, so we can't see it. She claimed that she was authorized to do it, and she said she would pass along decision memos to Biden's inner circle before using the Autopen. Think about that. She would write a memo saying, this is what I'm going to have him sign for. Is it cool? And not the president, guys. An intermediate, people in the middle, I just messed up that word, would tell him, I mean, he probably wouldn't even tell him, Rob, you saw that? That word just, my brain tried to do it. But he wasn't, the point is, the problem is, was he even given the authorization to let, you know what I mean, for whatever she was doing? So the White House insists that it was all above board, that Biden personally approved everything. But now the oversight is pressing hard and asking who was really running the country. And so, by the way, this is what we've been saying the whole time. This is what Jake Tapper and everybody has to be like, oh my God, we didn't know, but we had to report on it. But I'm just, and again, and this is what we're talking about, what people voted for and all that stuff. One of the main ones for me, Pat, besides the border, besides the Epstein and the list and all that type of stuff, which I'm still waiting and hopeful that we get the actual answers, it was this type of stuff. It was the pardons that we're giving to freaking Hunter Biden, the entire Biden regime, the whole family, Shift, the January 6th committee, and Dr. Anthony Fauci. Okay, I want this. This to me, Tom, is pressing. This is at the top of my list because you know me when it comes to accountability. I want all these people to be held freaking accountable. And I think this is a little crack in the ship that's going to make it come down. I think it's going to happen.
Very interesting to see what's going on here. So, Rob, what was the other clip that you had? This is Scott Perry. What's in this clip, Rob?
This is him explaining what the House Oversight Committee is investigating in regards to the Autopen use.
Go for it.
Looking at them in the context of, did Joe Biden actually have any clue about what the Autopen was signing, or were they doing it on his behalf? And, everybody's going to hunker down. Everybody's going to be tight-lipped about that. And so it's going to be hard to determine. I mean, Joe has already said that, he knew all of this stuff. But we know that he signed Hunter's pardon, but with his with his own hand. But the other ones were Autopen. So we don't know if he really knows all these people. And quite honestly, even when they were standing right in front of him, I'm not saying this to be mean, but he couldn't even identify his own Secretary of Defense on occasion, or people that he had appointed to these very high-level positions. It's sad, but it's reality. And what I think this is going to show, whether it's admitted or not, or whether it's provable or not, the people that were actually in charge.
How embarrassing.
Okay, Adam, I'm sorry, Tom.
So I look at this a little bit differently. I look at this from an investigative standpoint and get past all of the spin and everything that's going out. Okay. A cog in the wheel. Hey, a cog in the wheel says that she was authorized to get things signed. Who did you work for? Who did you work for? This is like when Giuliani had the map of the mob and he had the red squares for the people that had been indicted. And then he had some yellow squares that were blank that he said were informants. And he was forming the labyrinth, the chart of everybody. And it's something similar they did. You seen Godfather 2 when they're in the hearing, they got that. This is where the crime families are. So I look at her as a box in a flow chart. Okay, she said she did it. Who did she get these from? Who did she hand them off to? And let's find out who was at the top, because you know who I think it was? I think it was Blinken and Chief of Staff and one other. And I think that was the folks that were really running policy of these United States, which is not right. That's the president. So I believe the president was incapacitated, people running policy, and then follow the flow chart down. Then they get to her, and they say, get to Nira Tanden, and have her go get the thing signed, right? I bet she had a nickname. Her go get the thing signed, right? I bet she had a nickname because of her last name. I'm not picking her last name, but instead of Tanden, you could call her Penden. It's like give it to Penden, get the thing signed. But I think there's a flowchart here, PBD, and I think she just admitted how one part of it's working, and I think we should continue the investigation beyond the spin and the grandstanding in the hallways in front of microphones and flow back and find out who was the small committee.
If it was proven that somebody else did all these Autopens on pardons, can any one of them be overturned?
I think that's going to end up in front of the Supreme Court.
Oh, my God. Please. That would be explosive. If it goes in front of Supreme Court
if they proved,
and it's overturned.
What does Trump do that day? What does Trump do?
Rob, have you ever seen has any pardon ever been overturned? Has any pardon by a U.S. president been overturned? Any one of them? I'm actually very curious if this has happened. No. A presidential pardon has never been overturned by any regional by constitutional power under Article Section 2 of absolute. No federal crime. This is power. This power is absolute for federal crimes. No subject. Okay. What if it was used by an auto pen that the president
did not authorize?
That the president never authorized. So let's see what it says here. Is that a crime? Let's see what it says here. Excellent question. And you're now stepping into one of the few gray areas in the presidential pardon law. A pardon is signed by Autopen but not authorized by the president. That pardon will likely be invalid.
Boom.
Here's why. Presidential intent is key. The U.S. Supreme Court rule, United States versus Wilson, 1833, Burdick versus U.S. 1915, that a pardon is a deed like a contract. It must be delivered, accepted, and authorized to be valid. If a staffer uses an Autopen, a mechanical signature device, without the president's express authorization, it would be like forging his signature. The core intent of the president missing. Precedent of an Autopen used, President of George Bush, routine. Got it? Could it be overturned? Yes. If a court is presented evidence that the pardon was issued via Autopen and the president never authorized it, then the courts could nullify the pardon because the legal instrument was never valid in the first place. This would not be overturned. This would not be an overturning of a legitimate pardon. It would be declaring that a valid pardon never existed.
That's right.
Damn.
So it wasn't a presidential pardon. So it'd be like,
Please.
we're not overturning a presidential pardon. There never was a presidential pardon. You fraudulently created a document.
I love that when Fauci hears, because you know Fauci's listening to this type of stuff. He goes, "Oh shit! Oh please no!" And again, I want this to go the entire way. Like they
Then
have
push
to
for the
keep-
hearings. Push for the next person. Let's fill out the flow chart.
Yeah, Adam,
Who
thoughts on
told
this?
who?
Adam, thoughts on this?
So I remember we had this discussion about the Autopen, and I was like, what's the big deal? Stop it. Whose top 3 is this in? It's not in my top 3, but I totally understand why it is in other people's top 3. Because I'll pose a question for you. What's scarier and what's worse? Joe Biden actually running the government and actually making the decisions, or the shadow puppet-like figures that were using the Autopen? I don't know what's worse.
Sure.
Is it, do you want the dementia, cancer, old, senile man, forgetful, running the government, making the decisions? Or do you want, quote unquote, the grown-ups in the room making the decisions? It's kind of like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because we all heard these stories. It's Obama, really. He's the shadow president. Trump's actually still somehow the commander-in-chief, right, Roseanne? Like, whatever that was. Whether it was Anthony Blinken, whether it was Jake Sullivan, what other names did you hear? Now, this Nira.
Those two were on top.
Tandem, or Pendem, as Tom likes to call her. Was it Ron Klain, the chief of staff? Who was actually making decisions? Who was actually signing these things? Was it the guy shaking hands with non-existent dead people? Was it the guy facing the wrong way at the G7?
Yeah.
Was it the guy who basically couldn't show up to a debate performance? And Trump goes, I don't even know what the hell this guy thinks he's talking about. I don't know if he knows what he's talking about. I don't. Or was it somebody else? Because either way you slice it, it's a messed up situation. You have an incapacitated dude as the president, or you have someone signing on his behalf. Pick your poison.
And Adam, you make a great point. Well, I mean, what's scarier is
Thank you, Vinny.
What's even scarier is a nation or
Such love.
of electing a guy that they knew was like this because Trump was evil Hitler guy. That's even scarier. But I just saw this a little while ago before we started. Jill Biden's longtime aide, Anthony Bernal, which we saw him, they were saying that he was secretly running the show allegedly from behind the thing.
Can you pull up Anthony Bernal's
Anthony
profile,
Bernal,
please?
he is defying. This is, by the way, this is
Anthony
from
Bernal, the
oversight.
guy?
This is from the oversight committee's X account. He's defying Congress and refusing to testify tomorrow about Joe Biden's cognitive decline after the White House waived his executive privilege. And so, yeah, that's Anthony Bernal refusing. This is the guy.
He drowned, according to this, he drowned while paddleboarding on June 27th. What? I'm sorry, that's tomorrow. Sorry.
Yeah, that's him. So,
well, let's see what happens here. I want to wrap up with this last story, and then for parents, when you read this and you hear me say this. By the way, before we wrap up here, I don't want to give this message here. On Tuesday, we know 4th of July is around the corner. We announced a new merch. This story, parents, you're going to get furious when I read the story to you. But before I do, we announced the Team USA merch on Tuesday.
This one's
The
gone.
numbered hats lasted a couple hours. Gone. This hat that we had, that Vinny's holding here,
This
the
one's-
USA flag,
I'm rocking
gone.
this one.
Future looks bright, gone. We have still a few of these USA hats to wear with Future looks bright. The audience recognize the valuetainers are now walking to each other. If you haven't yet placed, and this black one's sick, this one's absolutely sick. You can order the hats and match it with the shirts together when 4th of July comes. Sport this. Show people optimism that you believe the future looks bright. Represent the gear, that valuetainment logo. When people see, they recognize that they come to each other and they talk to each other. Communities are finding each other. Whether you buy it for yourself, for your staff, for your teammates, for your parents, for your spouse, for your sons, for your kids, anybody, go to vtmerch.com and go on the U.S. collection. Place the order of the hats before they sell out. There's still some supplies left of the additional hats. 2 of them have already sold out. And match it with your shirt. And I think if you do, are we giving a mug with that? No, the Team USA 4th of July mug, as well as the USA Valuetainment keychain. So go place your order at vtmerch.com. All right, let's go to this last story. Parents, you ready? You ready, parents? Take a deep breath. Woosah, because this is what the teachers union head just said. Teachers union head gleefully declares that her union owns American children. This is from the Daily Caller. Chicago Teachers Union, CTU President Stacey Davis Gates, at a City Club Chicago event on Monday, quoted civil rights activist James Baldwin. Rob, do you have the video on this? Stating, I just want you to watch it for yourself, and then we'll go through this. Go for it, Rob.
CTU thinks your children are its children. Yes, we do. We do.
Oh my God.
Did you?
Wait, was that a joke?
No, is that the only clip you got, Rob?
this?
Because there's a couple of them. So she says,
moly.
the children, yeah. So she says, the children are always ours. The children are always ours. Every single one of them, all over the globe, and responded to the hypothetical parental objections by saying, CTU thinks your children are its children. Yes, we do. We do what you just watched. And accused the president of weakening teachers' union, describing his education agenda as a retaliation of the Civil War, okay? And Gates criticized Trump's push to dismantle. Is this the other one, Rob? It's a little
bit longer.
Rob, play this clip. You have to see this, folks. This is Chicago's Teachers Union. If you guys are looking for a recommendation of school, this is definitely not one of them. But go ahead, Rob.
Unionist Kat Zamarin, one of the speakers at our November rally. She quotes brilliantly and perfectly American philosopher James Baldwin. Baldwin says, the children are always ours.
Always. Yes. Always.
Every single one of them, all over the globe. And what comes next is, CTU thinks your children are its children.
Wow, so pleasant.
Ooh. Yes, we do. We do.
They got some applause break.
We do. CTU thinks all children belong to it, and there's socialist conspiracy ideology. Unionist.
Wow. Gates criticized Trump's dismantle the Department of Education, implying that it attacks the civil rights movement while Chicago public schools struggles with the 2024 district reporting showing, ready for this? Fewer than 1 in 3 elementary students reading at grade level and just 18% testing proficient in math. CTU's actions keep schools remote for the entire 2020-2021 school year, not returning until August of 2021, and led to a 5-day closure in 2022 due to a walkout. Tom, thoughts on this story here?
This is, once again, this is, where do I start? This is the failure of public schools in blue states and blue cities. Now, they're failing in a lot of other cities too, but look at these test scores and look at these things. And by the way, the walkout was a teacher's walkout. And so they sure treat your children like crap for people that say, yeah, they're our children. We do not have education in America. In the public school system, we have indoctrination. We just have to look at it like that. They're not there to educate and get your kids and your test scores to high level. That's what they're there to do. It's outcome-based education. They're going to roll them forward, grade, and it is not their desire to put teachers into accountability. Everywhere else in America, you have accountability, starting with show up to work on time, where the teachers do not have accountability. They get tenure, and they don't have to be good at what they do. They don't have to reflect on this because the union ensures that they stay in place. So let me tell you, parents, this is what you get, and this is why homeschooling and vouchers are so important. Vote for vouchers. Get vouchers back on the ballot. It says, encourage homeschooling. Find people through churches and social groups that are bonding together to help homeschool kids. The test scores are higher. You control the outcome of your kids because this is what you get in the public school system. And she is a caricature of just what I feel is just the deleterious evil that exists there, because to say we have your children and then they look at their own report card, what they're turning your kids into, how do they look in the camera with a straight face? How does she go to Chicago City Club and give this talk with a straight face when she's looking at what's happened in Chicago to these kids? What are they turning out? Look what's coming out of that factory. Look what's coming out of that factory.
Not good.
Is it? That's it?
I could keep going.
No, I thought. No,
I'm taking.
Adam, go ahead.
No, I'm taking a breath.
That was
here.
like Adam, go for it.
He's not
Tom
happy.
just like
Yeah.
his pause was.
Well done,
but
Tom.
go ahead.
Well, look, this might be a controversial statement, but I believe that the children are the future, and if you teach them well, you let them lead the way.
Huh.
And that's how that works. But here's let's break down the numbers. You know,
commercial
talk
from
numbers
Montessori
screen.
schools.
What percentage of teachers are male versus female in American public school system? Well, the answer is almost 80-20. So the vast majority of teachers who work in public school systems or in the teacher union are women. Now, if you take it a step further, what percentage of those are conservative versus liberal? Well, there's another 80-20 split right there, and it's probably even worse. So the vast majority of the people that are teaching your children are liberal females. Now, we all know the stats about if a single mother raises a child versus a single father versus two parents in the home. When there's a single father, the stats basically don't deviate from two parents being in the nuclear family. But if it's a single mother, no disrespect to the single mothers out there, I know how tough it is, but your children turn out a lot worse. So now you get the indoctrination from a liberal female raising your children vocally, proudly. And then the last point is this. Do you know what percentage of political donations from the teachers union go to Democrats versus Republicans? 94% go to the Democrats.
Wait till I tell you what I just found out about this lady.
Over your children, and they're telling you to your face how they operate.
Let me show you this. Rob, if you can go to her profile, okay? I wanted to see if she had kids, which she does. She's married with 3 kids. But watch this one here, folks. Rob, go all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. Right there. No, not there. Right there. Personal life. In September 2023, Davis Gates faced controversy after a website critical of the Chicago Teachers Union published her son's name, photo, and the name of the private high school, which she is enrolled in. Critics highlighted her past statement criticizing school of choice initiatives, where Davis Gates highlighted her son's enrollment as representing a larger issue of disinvestment in public schools. Rob, can you click on number 32? It's going to take you to New York Post. Click on 32 and go to the New York Post article. Look at this. Teachers Union chief calls private schools fascist, but send her son to one. This is the hypocrisy of people like this. Go a little bit over to racist. To call private schools fascist and racist, but turns out her son goes to one, has long bragged about how her children go to Chicago public school, but she recently got outed as sending a son to a prestigious private Catholic school on Chicago's South Side, De La Salle Institute. Average tuition, $15,000 a year. Good for her as a mom choosing what's best for her boy, but this makes her rhetoric calling school choice actually the choice of racist and private school segregation academics utterly damning. Go a little bit lower. But she even helped kill an Illinois program providing grants to underprivileged children for private school tuition. Wow. When it ends in 2025, and some 9,000 kids will lose out on what she provides for her own son. That doesn't merely make her a hypocrite. It means she knows her rhetoric is untrue, but spouts it anyway in service to her powerful union. That is, she's demonizing others for power and profit, a hallmark of actual fascists in most people's books.
Wow. Amen.
Isn't that
and this
amazing?
is why I'm talking about.
Isn't that amazing? Is that not amazing when you think about this here? I absolutely love when you get these types of stories. Just like Mamdani earlier. These capitalists are the problem. Hey, can you guys buy the merch?
Check out
For
our
us,
merch.
By the way, we are proud capitalists here. We proudly sell merch. We are not hiding. We proudly run Manek. We proudly hire people. We proudly, last Monday, our orientation, we hired 12 new employees, salary, benefits, all of it. We proudly are hiring people and growing. We are not ashamed about it at all. And all these rhetoric stuff that people say, we're not embarrassed about it. We're very proud to be capitalists ourselves. It's these other people that bash capitalism on the back end. They're true capitalists. They just don't want to publicize it. And they play with people's minds regularly. I just love that the story ended the way that it did. I didn't know about it until we went into it. And I said, let me find out what her real background is.
You
Anyways,
usually don't have to go far to
Gang,
find the hypocrisy.
That's
there.
right. I agree. Hey, folks, again, go to vtmerch.com. Place the order for the USA hats as we're coming closer to the 4th of July. Represent the shirt. Put the clothes on. When you put them on, please tag us. Put the pictures. We may even show some of them on the podcast following next week. But having said that, gang, we will not be doing a podcast. Now, here's the thing. We're on 3 emergency podcasts the last 4 weeks because things been happening. Hopefully this weekend is going to be a very peaceful, civil weekend where we don't have to do anything. But if something happens, we will. If not, There's no podcast that we're doing till next Tuesday. Between now and then, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And we may be going to a Yankees game this weekend.
Perhaps
So if
if
you're going
it's
to a
not.
Yankees game, look for us. We may be somewhere at a Yankees game this weekend. God bless everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.